Hello, everybody, and welcome to a TCGS Spoilercast for Life is Strange: True Colours. My name's David Turner, and I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
James Farley.
Hello.
And Sean Bell.
Hello.
Very serious intro to the podcast. If you are listening, if you found us by looking for Spoilercast content for Life is Strange, hello, we're the Computer Game Show. We're a weekly podcast about video games where we half talk about video games and half just shout at each other for a couple of hours a week. If that sounds like your bag?
You just shout at everyone else, Dave. That's not... No one else shouts.
Entertaining though, isn't it? It is entertaining though, Sean. So if you want to check out what we do, it will be on this feed. Subscribe and listen from next week, where we'll be talking about all the latest releases, the news, and how... no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. It's not appropriate for this podcast. Right. Here's how our spoiler casts work, if you've not heard one before. While I play the game, I write down notes. Half of them don't make sense. We try and work it out between the four of us, and we talk about the decisions we made and our thoughts on the game as we go through. Are we ready to go through Life is Strange: True Colours?
One other thing to kind of mention is that we haven't truly kind of told each other what we fully 100% feel.
I have no idea the decisions you guys have made. No idea.
I mean, we couldn't really truly go into our kind of like things we love or dislike about the game on the main show because for fear of spoilers. So this will be good to discuss.
So there will
that
be some opinions and some summarising of what we thought of the game.
I'm expecting some abuse. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I can't wait to see how
me that gets the
James
abuse on these spoiler casts.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm trying to care for my brother.
Let's get going. So the game opens up with introduction to Alex, and they do it in an interesting way. She's been interviewed by a doctor. She's been in a group home for 8 years. She's leaving to live with her brother in Haven Springs. And Dr. Lynn seems incredibly rude, doesn't she? Anyone else note that? Horrible person.
Maybe this is too early to get into this, but there's a huge sort of cynicism about whether it's therapy or psychiatry or... Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, Alex clearly has had a bad time with regards to... I mean, you could argue that's because no one knows that she's got superpowers. No one's trying to treat her for that. So obviously, I guess the treatment was never going to work. But yeah, she really has a poor view of the treatment she's received.
There's also an argument to be made by the end of the game that maybe the Doctor doesn't even exist. How about that? Ever thought about that?
That's right. Yeah.
Ever thought about that?
Possible. But you're totally right. I mean, like, the Doctor don't know what she's really going through.
The Doctor don't know.
She hasn't told them, and so she's never going to have a satisfying situation with that, because it's just they're trying to diagnose something that's not really the heart of what she's going through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's heading back to be a, in quotes, normal girl in a normal town. As we soon find out, Haven Springs is not quite as normal as I think we were led to believe.
On here, one of my notes was, no one knows about her powers. My next note is, cool, didn't want a frame rate anyway.
I get to that. God, it's good to be back in Life is Strange. Chapter 1, Side A. This is where we begin. Walking to meet brother. It looks great, but is this 30 frames? Because that'll take some getting used to. But yeah, the frame rate is pretty poor at the start, James. What are you talking about?
I thought it was fine.
Did you start this on launch day, or did you play this later?
No, I started at launch. I thought it was okay.
Me too. Really? But you were playing... What were you playing on, Sean?
Series S.
And Matt?
PS5.
I was PS5.
Me too.
Right, James is talking bollocks. Like it was terrible. The frame rate was shocking on PS5.
Okay.
And
I mean, with regards to it being 30 frames, was it okay? I just with regard like a game like this, like I'm a 60 frames guy, but something like this, it doesn't really bother me, especially as it's doesn't. Like mostly cinematic.
Yeah, you're totally true, and you're totally right. And the further I got into the game, the 30 frames didn't bother me, and I realised that actually the opening area wasn't really just, a problem with 30 frames versus 60. It was just dropping like mad.
Yeah, it's the fluctuation rather
Yeah, it was a bit of a mess.
I mean,
you get your...
Okay, sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say the only problem I had with all of that was the teeth thing that I mentioned on the main show. The way she gets on baring her teeth all the time. But that seemed to be a thing throughout the whole thing. So yeah, it was a bit odd.
Okay, so we were treated to our first big decision right up front, and the decision was to either hug or handshake your brother. Which way did we go?
I've definitely hugged him. Yeah,
why not? Hug. Haven't seen him for 8 years. Definitely.
I'm with you. Hug straight away. There's straight in there. That's good. Alex, come on. Haven Springs looks incredible, and all you can say is it looks nice. Let's get that out of the way. Haven Springs just looks like some sort of paradise.
Oh, it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And I know we talked about this on the main show, but yeah, like I assumed this was just some mad little fantasy town that couldn't possibly exist, and then I went looking at towns and cities in Colorado, and it turns out it's just what they look like. It's just,
when you said this, I was really shocked because to me it looked like one of those sort of like show towns from like Disney or something like that.
Yeah,
and it didn't, exactly. And it took me out of it, which was the problem because in the beginning I was like, this doesn't feel right at all. It's just too nice. This is not right. But,
yeah, but also I know we've commented on the frame rate, but I think visually it's a massive step up from previous Life is Strange games as well. So you had the actual location looking nice and detailed and just aesthetically pleasing, but then you combine that with actually, this is a big visual update, I think, or upgrade in terms of the visuals compared to the previous games. So yeah, it kind of like, wow, this is a really, really pretty game from the off. That's what it told me.
I think it keeps it's in keeping with the visual style from Life is Strange 1 and 2 as well, though. I think there's this almost sort of constant sort of soft focus on everything. Like it feels like it's always like there's like loads of just gorgeous sunsets and stuff. Like lots of like the color palette is very sort of autumnal.
Yeah, the lighting was great.
Really nicely done. Yeah.
I definitely think they were going for like more of a stylized comic booky sort of look in the earlier games. Whereas they seem to have dropped. It's still stylized, isn't it? But yeah, it looks way better. Right, so you have a quick chat with Gabe, your brother, as you're walking about, and Gabe sort of reveals to you, or sort of mentions to you, that he's got something to apologise to his girlfriend for. So he goes into the shop to get some flowers. That's where you meet Ethan, a young child. It's Gabe's son, isn't it, or Gabe's stepson?
It's his stepson.
Stepson.
Yeah. And by the way, when someone you've not seen for ages just sort of vaguely alludes to having to apologise to their partner for something they've done, bit of a red flag, I thought.
I mean, I would
we
explain
find out something
it.
fairly innocuous, but
yeah, I would explain it if if it was me in that situation. But you meet Ethan. He gives you a comic book, and the comic book I've written, Ethan's comic looks shit.
That's quite harsh.
Quite harsh, is it? How old is Ethan?
I'm not sure.
Old enough
now
to
you
draw
mention
better.
It.
I mean, it didn't look great, but it was still definitely better than anything I can produce. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. Okay, then I've got, is this town just run by early 20-somethings? All shop owners and now the DJ. That is a bit weird, isn't it? Everyone's incredibly beautiful, and everyone's this was before you go to the pub, but even in there, most people are under the age of 25.
Well, it's also everyone's either early 20s or mid 50s, isn't it? It's like
it's that, and it's also a place where Spotify and all that doesn't exist either. It's really odd like that was.
And then what about the fact that Ethan is the only child in the whole place?
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? You got any friends, Ethan? No other children exist. Well, no,
That's
they
why I'm
do.
drawing
There's
this
just where
shit comic book.
yeah. Look, we spoke about this on the main show, and our view is that clearly, in order to keep the budget down to make these games viable, to actually produce, to actually make money, which is the whole point in the whole thing, they've clearly had to make some changes on what they do with these games. So setting it in one location with as little characters as possible kind of makes sense. It's just a bit weird at the same time.
It's funny, isn't it? Because obviously, like Life is Strange 1, it was obvious that there were students and there were teachers and parents. So it was just this two-tier system, and that sort of seems to have persisted here, where there's no school. It doesn't really make sense.
The worst thing with this is the way that when you have the town meeting or whatever, and it's like, oh, it's all the same people. Like there's no one else.
We're getting there. Don't jump ahead, James. Jesus. It's like the big reveal when you find out. Which I should point out, we're spoiling everything. We usually give a bit of a warning up top. So go and play the game. Right, because
have we not skipped? So when did we get the decision with Ethan? Is that not? I don't know when you first meet him.
That was when you first meet him, I thought.
What was the decision with Ethan?
Well, because he mentions he's going to go up to the mountains. And you can...
No, that is later. I've definitely got that written down. Yeah, because this is when you first go into the records shop and you meet. You find out there's a radio station in there, and you meet what is it, Ryan, for the first time, and he can't find shit.
What is it, Ryan?
He cannot find
my boyfriend. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, but Ryan can't find shit, can he? The hold list.
No.
Because you're buying a present for Gabe, can't find the hold list, can't find the cat toy. He's utterly useless, right? That's the first impression I've got of
so
Ryan
dreamy,
there.
though. You know,
he is.
Okay, let's not reveal our big decision until later down the line. First big decision: do I tell Gabe that Ethan is going to search the mine? What did we do?
Yeah,
I told them. Yeah,
fucking grass. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I didn't want a dead kid in my house.
Yeah, exactly.
I did too. Sean, what is the matter with you? How could you not?
Imagine that was real
life.
What are you doing?
I promised Ethan.
You wouldn't warn the
but
adult.
Ethan's a child.
You don't promise children things like that. Like,
are you mad?
Go off to the mines. It's all right.
Go off to the mines. I won't tell a soul.
Yeah, you might die.
Listen. Clearly, it doesn't make any difference either way.
But did you see? Did you see the poster warning about the explosions in the mines?
No.
I don't believe you. I think you saw that and thought, I don't like this character.
Yeah.
So go on, go up to the mines, it'd be fine. Sorry, Matt, what were you saying?
Did you see the poster, yes or no?
No.
Did you see
Not at that point.
the poster?
Even if you didn't see the poster...
Technically... They may have been in my field of vision, but I didn't register it, didn't read it.
Even if you didn't see the poster, if a young kid comes up to you and says, "Don't tell my parents, but I'm going into some mines," you'll go, "Okay, I'm going to tell your parents because that is dangerous."
Yeah.
I'm new in town. I need as many friends as I can get.
Well, you can have one less friend if that kid dies in the mines.
Friend is 8 years old.
If you're looking for friends, what are you going to do? Your choice there is... You want to make friends with Ethan, or Ethan dies,
Look,
and everyone hates you in the town.
Ethan sounded like he knew what he was doing, and that he had it all under control.
Sorry, Sean. This is just as bad as Matt in the with like the Choco Crisps and stuff. This is
I was trying to survive.
I agree,
this is
James.
Worse.
This is worse.
I mean, obviously. I felt very bad about this later.
Oh, right, okay, because I'm... Right, okay,
Sean,
I want to hear what happened.
When this happened, when you heard that there was some problem, were you like, oh shit, he's gone up there, I should have said something? Did you?
Well, this is the thing, and jumping ahead here, but yeah, so when it turns out he's gone there and he's possibly in danger, straight away I'm thinking, well, that decision didn't mean anything then, because there's no way, this is too big a story moment for me to have been able to affect it.
You cannot, right, we've said this when we've done these Spoilercast before, you cannot fast forward to the future and say, well, it didn't matter then. That's not how, you didn't know that was going to happen. You were you had a moral problem.
I pretended to argue sincerely in favour of not telling anyone that the kid ran off to the mountains for long enough. So let's move on.
Right, okay, I put, of course I do. What with all the explosions and stuff. They're too old to be pretending to play in a band together. Oh, this was that awful scene where Gabe and Alex were pretending they put the Kings of Leon album on.
I thought this was really good. I like this.
I thought it was
all right, and I thought they knew what they were doing with this. They knew it was going to be like cringeworthy and awful or whatever. But I thought it's all right. It's just introducing.
Did you see the streamers version of it, James?
Yeah, that was amazing.
So it's got an option. If you're streaming the game, it turns off all the music, but it keeps the sound effects on. So if you watch them doing that, on a stream. It's just them going. It's so
loads
funny.
Of footsteps and stuff.
Yeah, it's really funny. I'll have to send it to you. It's funny,
Can I just say, I've just checked, and 46% of players kept Ethan's plans to themselves.
Oh, there are some horrific people out there, aren't there?
That doesn't make sense.
46%.
People with better justifications than mine, I'm sure. Just a
What,
shame
to
I'm
send
not
a
here to
child
talk
to their
about them.
death, possibly. Not inform their guardians.
That's what was going to happen.
But even so, send like a kid going off to some abandoned mines on his own. That's not safe. Like that's never safe. Even if there's not explosions, that's still not safe.
Yeah,
He sounded like he does it all the time, and fucking. Oh, so did none of you ever went anywhere you weren't supposed to go as kids?
Not abandoned mines, no. Like that's.
Or whatever.
How many abandoned mines
Canterbury.
did you go in, Sean, when you were younger?
Can't fucking move for abandoned mines in Canterbury, mate. They're all over the place. Point is, everyone does shit they're not supposed to as kids, and we're all here, which means it's definitely always.
Okay, fine. People do stupid shit
them.
as kids. People do stupid shit as kids, but as an adult, if you see some kid going off and doing something dangerous, you fucking tell someone, especially their parents.
Look, I just wanted to be popular, all right?
Okay,
You'll be unpopular
anywhere
when he
near my
comes back dead.
Look how that worked out.
Yeah, I want to be popular with the only kid in town.
I want to be popular, so I'll send that kid to the mine. Could be dead.
Yeah.
I'm not popular yet.
Well, he doesn't die, does he? So
Well, you didn't know at the time.
it's fine. He's all right. It doesn't matter.
Well, we've skipped a big bunch of choices. They're probably just like smaller things. But what I did like is that when you go into the flower shop, I wrote flower lady there. I'm not quite sure. I didn't have a name at that point.
No, sorry, Alex is the main character. Riley, sorry. Thinking of.
So no, I mean like the woman in the flower shop who has Parkinson's or whatever it is.
Parkinson's? You mean Alzheimer's?
Oh, I meant Alzheimer's. Yeah, I do apologise. Anyway, her first question to you was, "What's your greatest weakness?" Like that's the first thing she said to you.
Oh, I didn't go in there in that first bit.
Oh, didn't you? Oh, right, yeah.
I think I might have missed this because when I first went in, it was just Riley there, and it was all about her university application.
That's what I got.
Yeah, I think that's what I got as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I went in there. She went straight in with "What's your greatest weakness?" I was like, well, "Wow, okay, that's quite a way to introduce yourself." I just come here for the first time, and then there was a choice there. Like, I could tell the truth. What was that? Sorry.
Expert.
Yeah, well,
it's like I work too hard, if anything. Yeah, that's
bloody good boss. Yeah, like that. There was like a bit where you can you can tell the truth about her Alzheimer's, or you can kind of like leave it for
that
later.
all comes up for us.
You
We'll
got that
get
later.
to that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Right. So someone comes in to confront Gabe about sleeping with his girlfriend. Alex loses control, and this was genuinely hard to watch. When Alex just beats the shit out of him. After she attacks him, she also goes to hit Gabe. I mean, I've said this to you guys before, but I've seen some horrendous violence in video games. You know, some of the stuff in, say, Animal Crossing, for example. Some of the stuff in, The Last of Us and stuff like that. There's some horrible stuff in video games. This, I think, affected me more than any of that stuff. I was like wincing because it was just really, it was really well shot. And it just felt relentless. And it was that feeling of being out of control, you know.
Yeah, it felt like it just came out of nowhere. That's what kind of took me back, and it felt more real, less cartoony than some of the extreme violence we've seen in other games. So it was like, right. I mean, at first I was like, oh no, this is good. Alex is kind of, sticking up, against Mac, and defending her brother. But then she really, really fucked him up. I was like, okay, we've all had a drink. You might want to calm down now. But no, she really, really messed him up. And it was like, wow, it felt like it. Yeah, it's a huge moment.
I think it's and it's just a perfect sort of early illustration that yes, Alex has this ability, but this is how it has manifested itself, and it's often not helpful.
She's got this ability. Also, she should be in UFC.
Yeah, and as you say, and it's interesting because yes, she's defending Gabe, but it's like it's 90% just that she has unwillingly absorbed Mac's anger.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even necessarily a protective instinct. She's just angry because he's angry, and that's the way her power works.
I felt like, it was just she was lashing out, really, with all the, with the anger and the energy. It went beyond the protection, like, completely, I thought. Which is why you're sort of wincing watching it, because it's like, it is that kind of like, you can stop now. He's already dead, kind of thing. It was horrible.
And it's also like, because did any of you guys go through like all the messages on Alex's phone?
I always like doing that. Yeah,
that was, I mean, amazing, but heartbreaking and sad, and because there's stuff in there where, like, there'll be a conversation where she's like, "Hey, like, we're still on for tonight," and the person reply, "Yeah, cool, see you at this time," or whatever. And then there's just like a string of messages from Alex at like 2 a.m. just being like, "I'm so sorry, I don't know why I behave like that. Like, I'm an idiot. Please don't think I'm weird. Please talk to me." And it's like, fuck, like, that's just another incident where she's like, you see this outburst with Mac, and it's like, well, shit, this is what she's been going through. And it's been like this for years, and this is why it's like ruined loads of her relationships. And it was just, I don't know, just a bit of, deft writing in the text messages that, it's just there for you to find. And I just think it's like, it just really nicely illustrates like why this has been a problem for her for so long, and why she's, I mean, I don't know how the care system works, because she's 21, right? Is that just how it is in certain states in America, that you don't get released from care? Because I know they're a bit weird about...
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if the implication was that she was sort of, kept in care for longer because of emotional problems she was having, or if that was just the rule anyways, that you have to wait till you're 21. I don't know, but...
Yeah, when that first initial scene came up, when the game first starts, I was like, is she in like juvenile detention? It wasn't 100% clear at first, but yeah.
So then that scene is followed by you unpacking your bag. Nothing too memorable here. Singing "Creep," and then you go upstairs.
I should say, sorry. I just, as a big Radiohead fan, very bored of "Creep." Big anthem when you're 13, but not so much as an adult. I thought this was really good because it's a genuinely flawed, anxious performance, and and obviously in context it made sense, and I was just surprised how much I like this.
Yeah, no, it was a decent use of song. Sometimes this stuff can get really cringy, like if I ever was to lose you,
emotional.
That stuff just does not work. But
because didn't they showed this, didn't they, when they first announced the game, and they're like, oh, and here's the main character singing "Creep" by Radiohead, which at the time I was like, right, whatever. But half an hour into this, I was sold enough that I liked it. So
okay, you go upstairs, you start bartending, and did you tell the truth or lie and say that you've done it before?
I think I said I've done it before. Yeah,
I said I've done it before. You don't need to know that I'm a complete nobody.
Is it clear that you're lying? I can't remember.
No, I think the way it's framed, it's that Gabe has told him that you've done it before.
Yeah.
And I thought, do I make Gabe look like an arsehole?
I did.
I can wing it.
I just said, I've never done this before. And
you dropped Gabe in it.
Yeah.
What was the reaction? Can you remember?
Yeah, he was just fine. Just, this is all you got to do. It just shows you what to do. And that was it. There was nothing happened from it, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've written down pie special with fries, burger with mushrooms, and a special drink. Like, so, I mean, I didn't have confidence that I remember any of that stuff, so I just wrote it all down.
I didn't care about that. I just thought they got whatever I served up for them.
Okay, right. Okay,
you're the worst. Hospitality,
so
James.
He tells you, I've never done it before. Here's how you do it. I'm like, nah.
How about mushrooms in...
No, because you've got the ultimate...
Mushrooms in beer, chips in pie?
No, you got the ultimate. It's my first day. It's fine. It's all right.
People can get fired, and they're still
supposed to try. Yeah.
Not only that, you got to think about your brother. Your brother's got you this job. You're representing them. Like, and
at this point, hasn't he? He's already told you that the flat's yours, right?
Yeah, you're golden by that point. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Who cares?
But James, the flat is in the pub. If you lose your job, you're probably losing your flat, mate. I mean, it's made quite clear later on that, the owner of the bar is your landlord. So, yeah, I mean, have a little bit of respect. Okay, then I've got Mac telling story about the fight. Stick up for Gabe or lie for Mac.
The options are call out Mac's bullshit or avoid more trouble.
Because he's arguing with
Riley.
With Riley, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I called him out.
I absolutely called him out on the bullshit because I just thought this guy is a horrible bully, and she needs to know this. It's same.
Yeah, we all went the same route for that one. Then the pranking cop turns up. That was
the pranking cop.
That made me laugh, to be fair, because did he come over just like, did he say, I'm going to have to arrest you? And you were like, oh my God, what? Like, because of the fight. And he was like, and then goes over to the bar and starts drinking. And I thought, okay, well, they're the policing standards in this town. I mean, at least go home and take your uniform off. But nope. But no, it did make me laugh. Okay, so then meeting on the rooftop with Gabe, the big decision. Do you tell Gabe about your past? Tell Gabe about your power? I'm going with tell him about my past. Seems more relevant at this point. And then I put, oh fuck, after typing this, I hit X and selected the wrong thing.
Nice.
So I told him about my power.
See, it's weird because I don't remember this. Like, this choice, I thought was just tell him about the power or don't. But in actual fact, it was tell him about the power or about growing up in foster care. I told him about the power. I mean, again, this was sort of because we knew from all the press, prior to this coming out, that Gabe wasn't going to make it for very long. Like, the whole story is about him dying. So I was like, well, it doesn't really matter if I tell him a big secret, does it?
No.
Which is a shit way of looking at it.
I did not know about that because I had purposely tried to avoid trailers. And...
Oh, really? Oh, because it was... Sorry, yeah, because when they first revealed it, it was all... It was the very first trailer. It was like all in that Gabe is not.
If that's the case,
around.
I just forgot. So no, it is that was a surprise. At the end of the episode, was like, hang on, no way. But yeah, I told him about my power because after what happened downstairs with smashing Mac up, I thought it's probably best to come clean and say here's who I am, and we'll have a bit of a bonding moment about it.
See, I didn't,
and it is clear. Oh, did you
not?
No,
so you didn't discuss the powers at all?
No, I told him about growing up in foster care because I just felt at that point, like, I mean, as you said, David, it's like that felt more appropriate to me at that moment. It was that's what I needed to talk about. But
I agree.
That's valid. It's just I thought this. I mean, despite knowing that Gabe was going to die, I thought this did a really good job of, if not cementing your relationship with him, at least showing you like the effect he's had on the town and this life he's built for himself.
Oh God, yeah, he's a
of course,
he's a well-loved character about that place, isn't he, Gabe?
And obviously that's sort of what becomes really interesting, is that Alex then just has to sort of continue existing in this place where her brother that she barely knew sort of still has this sort of, his presence is still felt, and that's...
He was the reason she was there, and now he's no longer there after such a short time. I did put, out of all the superpowers we've seen in media, though, this is the shittest one, right? And I stand by that. I stand by that. Well, I couldn't have had flight or supersonic speed. Well, I couldn't have had those. Instead, I've got, ooh, you're glowing blue. You're a bit sad. Right. This is where you discover that Ethan's gone up into the mountains. How did that play out for you, Sean?
But again, you see, this was quite dissatisfying because there was basically a conversation where Alex was like, he told me, which I think maybe I'm trying to think, maybe the way it sort of swings and roundabouts is because it meant Alex could say like, oh no, this is where he said he was going. So everyone knew where to look for him immediately. As if that makes it okay. But
I think it's one of those decisions that's not going to make a major impact on the game. However, it changes things tonally, because when we were going off, like, Gabe made it very clear, thank you for telling us about that. Right. What did he say to you? Like, what the fuck?
It was basically it was just Alex sort of repeatedly saying sorry and Gabe just saying like it's fine when it's clearly not. Gabe was just very much like, look, we're here, we just need to find him. Like, there's no point, blaming each other or whatever.
So he wasn't like, are you a child or anything like that? You know?
Were you trying to befriend my child?
Yes. I thought we'd bond quicker if we had a secret together.
But now he's dead. Nice one.
I was just trying to make friends and be cool.
Yeah.
So you arrive at the mountains. It's night time, and you're looking around the sort of entrance to the mine. And I've put these are the moments where Life is Strange gets things slightly wrong. Everyone's panicked. There's a young child lost somewhere in the mountains, and you're walking around cracking jokes about graffiti and a rubber zombie. Like that stuff. I was kind of like, shouldn't there be a little bit more urgency?
At this point, Gabe has already put the call in, right? They acknowledge that, oh shit, there's supposed to be an explosion tonight, so they call it in, right? That's cancelled. So obviously they're still looking for Ethan, but there's the immediate threat of the explosion is supposedly gone, right?
Yeah, but are you walking around pointing at graffiti and making jokes about it? You're not, are you?
Probably not. Probably not.
Focus on the task at hand, Alex. Stop. Yep. Oh, there's a rubber zombie. Yeah, I know. But can we find a child that's lost in the mountains, regardless of if the explosion's
It's important to keep morale
as we've
up,
established.
Though,
it is. Yeah.
Always make jokes at times of stress. It helps.
Yeah, exactly. She's helping. It's okay.
Okay, so this whole last part of the game, we'll skip through the stuff where you're walking through. There's a few little puzzles here and there, or not even puzzles, are they? You've just got to get through this warehouse. Then you come out the other side. You find Ethan sort of crying on the edge of a cliff, and there's this horrible log that rests between over this cavern, and you've got to walk over it. I thought this whole bit was fantastic, really. Explaining why Ethan was so scared, and how that gets the problem over, to how sort of Alex empathizes with it, and going through that whole process of talking to Ethan, getting him to cross the log with you, and then everything that goes on after. I thought this was a really good end to the chapter.
Yeah, and it's the sort of perfect sort of counterpoint to what we were saying earlier, that the outburst in front of Mac is like, it's she has this ability, but it's a burden. Here's how it's caused problems, and then we see the other side of it here, where it's like, no, this is actually something she could really use to help people by, not necessarily mind reading, but empathizing with them to the point that she can fully understand their fears, which. As we all know, you can feel a certain way about a situation and not necessarily know why. So to have someone else to sort of step in and be like, no, you're actually scared because of this or whatever. And suddenly, that's incredibly helpful. So she, Alex realizes, doesn't she? It's not that Ethan is scared of heights. It's that he's created this fictional world through his books and stuff that he believes there's this monster underneath waiting for him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And by sort of being able to tap into that, Alex is able to talk him into coming back across the log. And I just thought this was beautifully done. I know we said on the main show that especially when you have kids, you have to do this all the time. Yeah. And with someone who isn't necessarily in control of their own emotions, or isn't necessarily logical or reasonable. And so it just really hit home, because I was just like, fucking God, if I could do this, that would be amazing. Just being able to fully tap into a kid's mind and understand how they're thinking and stuff.
But there's some. I mean, my youngest, I wouldn't want to tap into. I don't want to know how that mind works, Sean. It's the last thing I want to know. All right. So this is where the big dramatic moment happens. Gabe gets hit by a rock after an explosion that was supposed to have been called off. And I just put, damn, that fella just cut the rope, eh? Because
certainly did.
Ryan. I mean, Ryan, yeah. Gabe was attached to Alex, and rocks were falling and everything. But Ryan just gets to the point where he's like, nah, all right, off you go. Just cuts it. I was
he knew that they they weren't going to survive if they'd stayed there for a second longer. So
yeah.
I don't know if they knew, did they?
Well, yeah, but he's a troop or whatever. You know, he knows how this stuff goes down.
He's a trooper.
A ranger.
No, I mean, like, he's like
I think
troop. You know, he's one of those like park ranger, whatever he's called, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's not a
I think ultimately, we're not supposed to.
But he knows how this shit goes down because they've cleared on loads of his destinations in the past, and he's like, cut this.
Yeah,
he's
the
gone.
amount of ropes that bloke has had to cut in his past.
Sick of it.
He's just join the other bodies, Gabe.
Just piling up.
Maybe the other bodies will break your fall.
There's going to be about 20 this week.
I don't think we're supposed to be under the impression that he was thinking completely logically. I think it was clearly like a spur of the moment.
It was a gut reaction of like just dealing with it.
Yeah. I mean, I should say as well, like, you know, obviously the things I've said about, I knew Gabe was going to die at some point. Fuck me, the way it happens really took me by surprise.
Yeah, it was
just gets
dark,
obliterated by the rock, and then Ryan having to make that decision.
Because at that point, I was like,
awful.
Well, I mean, it seemed to end pretty abruptly, the episode. I'm like, hang on, he's not actually dead, is he?
Yeah, oh, mate, I thought that for a long time. I thought, we've not seen the body.
Really?
And you know what that's like in film
rock.
And all that.
You just think he had...
Yeah, but I thought it was like Game of Thrones. If you don't see the body, they're not actually dead, you know.
Yeah,
you think he's just going to arrive with his bit of cut rope in one hand and just be like, you fucker, Ryan. What are you thinking?
Again, Ryan? Again?
Yeah, that's the second time this week, you prick.
How many times have I got to be cut from? Does that work? Fall into a fucking cavern. Anyway, overall, I thought it was a very strong opening chapter.
100%. Loved it.
Yeah, I think, I think it was up there with the start of chapter 1 of Life is Strange Season 2, although I do feel that it followed a lot of the same beats, you know what I mean? There was a little bit more exploration in this one. However, you know, it was that slow build, meeting characters, dramatic event, end. And I thought it worked quite well. So, yeah, relatively happy with the opening to this one. So should we move on to chapter 2, Lanterns?
Shoot. Yes, please.
Here we go. Here are my notes. Memorial for Gabe. Questions as to whether or not Gabe called to stop the mind explosions. The mine explosions, not the mind explosions.
Oh, no.
I typo. So yeah, that was sort of being questioned whether Gabe had actually called in. It wasn't if Gabe had. It was whether
Mac
had.
Mac. Whether he'd answered
Mac
or not.
had actually.
Mac, yeah.
Yeah, so Mac. There was an argument whether the explosions were actually called off or not. And that sort of breaks out and ruins the whole memorial, doesn't it?
I mean, at this point, I'm still questioning it. My first note is, wait, Gabe's actually dead? Question mark. I'm still like, he's surely not actually dead, is he?
Mate, don't worry, Matt. I think I've got a comment about that later on, like even later into the game.
End of episode 5. I mean, wait, Gabe's dead?
I mean, it bothered me a bit that, you know, so we've been taught that, you know, when other people are feeling strong emotions, Alex is overcome by them, and yet apparently walking into a funeral, she's all right. Thought that was weird.
She was pretty chill with this.
Yeah,
actually,
not bothered, mate.
Yeah.
Again, I think I've got a note about this later, but I think that's kind of a running problem that I had with Alex.
Yeah.
That she never really... The emotions seemed to be around her rather than her herself. And I don't think that was quite intentional. I just thought it wasn't really addressed properly.
Yeah. And there's that, and then there's situations where, as I say, there's people who are clearly feeling things, and yet, in terms of the writing, they haven't seen fit to go, oh, and that would affect Alex.
Yeah.
Like they've just sort of,
Yeah, for sure.
Right, I mean, whatever. It's not, it's not actually science fiction or anything, is it?
No, she was.
No.
She was like in her upstairs, wasn't she, for a long time before she wanted to come down. It's like maybe you think maybe
she was in her upstairs. Yeah,
but there was no auras. I mean, it should have been auras.
You don't go in your upstairs, Matt.
I mean, I haven't for a long time actually. Now I should probably go back up there.
Okay, good. Gotcha. My next note was Steph comes into the apartment, gets upset looking at the Foosball Champion Trophy bottle. So for the first time, I'm starting to question the morals of what Alex is doing. The game seems to be forcing me to get inside her mind and understand her emotions. But in this moment, it feels a bit fucked up. And I'm relatively happy that they start asking questions about that a little bit later in the game. But at the start of the game, you're just getting into everyone's head and just going, right, what are you thinking? And it was this time as a player was the first time I was like, oh, don't do that. What do you think she's thinking? I mean, it's obvious what she's thinking anyway. She's walking around the apartment remembering Gabe. They obviously had a good relationship. And trying to jump into those emotions felt a little bit wrong at that time, but you do to find out something that you pretty much could guess anyway. Oh, they used to play foosball together. Yeah, that's why she was looking at the foosball champion trophy and a picture of them both holding it. Like, it wasn't...
And it's interesting that obviously this came out a little bit before Psychonauts 2, right? Where obviously Psychonauts 2, the entire thing is that you're jumping into people's brains and sort of helping to fix them. But in Psychonauts 2, I'm pretty sure Raz always asks for consent wherever possible before he dives in.
And also the first level is about how unethical it is to go in and start messing with people's emotions.
And
it also like demonstrates consequences when you start to do that as well. I thought that worked very well in that.
Okay, I'm interested to find out what happened next for you lot, because this is really important to me. The foosball mini game. I'm not being funny, but Steph is really shit at this table football game. 5-0 to Alex. And then I put, oh no, she wasn't even trying. Okay, now she's trying. 5-0 to Alex again. So, first two games I won 5-0, no problem. And then I put, final game, okay, closer, 5-4. But they asked the sexuality question again. And I've always found that a bit odd. Now, I've mentioned this in the previous series, that I've always found it a bit strange that we're controlling the character and we get to talk or steer their sexuality. And I kind of question myself now thinking back at it, because I kind of think, well, the player, maybe they have their own projection of Alex, but I've always argued that, sexuality isn't a choice. So giving that choice to the player, I've never been comfortable with that. And the point was made towards me previously, not incorrectly, fully valid point, saying, but what about bisexuality? And that is, that opens things up to sort of, there are preferences either way. It's a sliding, it's a slider. But this has happened for almost every main character in Life is Strange, right? So Max, we had this in season 2, and we've got it here again. I don't know how comfortable I am with it. And in the context of video games, I guess you could see it as progressive, because it's way better than right, they're straight, which is what we've had for so many years. But at the same time, I just kind of think, I know you're born and your sexuality grows into what it is. It's not hey, what do you want? You know what I mean? That's where I've always
it's not necessarily something that a player who has agency over a character, it's not necessarily something you should get to choose.
I think it's an interesting question. I don't I'm not sitting there looking at the game going, fucking hell, this is a disgrace, this is a moral problem. No, but I do think it's an interesting discussion
I'm
to
actually
have.
going to argue the other way. I actually think this was the relationship I kind of went along with Alex and her sexuality and her journey in this game was the best way about this game, and kind of the most connected I felt with a character in Life is Strange. Massively.
So same. Mm-hmm. So I kind of agree with that. The way that I went felt very natural. But my view on it is, Alex is a character that I'm playing as. It's not a role play. So it's
not
like you got to choose her name and hair.
Exactly.
But does that?
I know what you mean.
Does that mean that when you're making choices, though, you're making choices which are based on what you think the character would be doing or what you would do? in this case.
I think it's half and half. Like, I think there's definitely situations where I'm making choices thinking this doesn't fit with the character.
Mm-hmm.
I might do this, but this doesn't fit with the character. But then there are moral choices like, do I tell people that a young child is going to an extremely dangerous area?
I mean, that's
where
obvious, isn't it?
I sort of step in a little bit, James.
Yeah, you have to at
and
those
sort
points,
of-
yeah.
Yeah, you do have to.
Otherwise a kid could die.
No, it's fine. I mean, there are definitely choices I made in this that I don't think I would have the strength to do in real life. But it felt right for Alex's arc. So I don't know. I mean, I suppose the main thing is, like, it's not like, so Alex declares her sexuality at this point, but it's not like it's set in stone from that point.
It's
like,
not.
oh,
No,
she's straight, so you can only
You-
fancy men now.
Because also you don't have to either. You can like, because I think I just hedged at this point. I was like, I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I think so did I. But if you look at her previous, text messages reveal that she's had kind of, male and female partners. So it was, I think it was clear in that regard. But yeah, I went on a full journey of this, and it's easily the most emotionally affecting and for the whole game for me. Like, I definitely, I had like, I'm not sure it was before I read the messages, but I thought, okay, I think Alex is bisexual, and then you see Steph, and you think, okay, well, is this game gonna try and get these two together? And at first, I was keeping my cards quite close to my chest, and then you see others. But I mean, I don't want to say it all now, but yeah, I had a really
that's what I'm saying.
fantastic, interesting journey, and I'm. Can't wait to talk about it.
Let's get to that, because I think there's a more obvious moment where this starts to come out, which relationship you want to be in. And I've got a couple of interesting questions, but we'll get there. We'll get there. But back to the foosball. Did we all win it?
No, I lost.
No.
Yeah,
I lost.
So I smashed her in the first two, and I was like, okay, this is easy. And then they're like, hey, one more for for the road, or choose the real winner. And then she won that, and I was like, hang on, is this just how it always works? You can maybe do well in the first two, and then you lose.
Absolutely not.
I
won the first two 5-0.
Was so close. I was like, okay, is this scripted? Because it's suddenly like she turned it on, and I was like, okay, a bit annoying. So no, I lost. I've never been a big foosball fan anyway, to be fair, even in real life.
Sean?
Yeah, no, I lost big time.
I'm the only winner. Come on. I am the best.
Statistically, 60... God, what was it? 61% lost.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Part of the 39, boy. Don't you worry about that. Big decision. Should Charlotte sign the affidavit from Typhon? How do they pronounce it in this?
It's Typhoon.
They do pronounce it Typhoon. Okay.
It's Typhon, isn't it?
Is it?
It is Typhon, isn't it?
Written
Yeah,
Typhon.
because I thought it was Typhon.
Ooh.
It's a bit weird that I'm making the decision, to be honest, but okay. Like, so Charlotte has been given a affidavit to say, what was it? She had to...
It was basically take the money but just don't talk about this with anybody.
Take the money, but don't
investigate
talk
what
about
happened.
it. Yeah.
Hush money.
Well, to take the money for or turn the offer down and press charges. They were the options, weren't they?
Yeah, and obviously, I put don't sign it, because I put anyway. I said don't sign because you never accept the first offer. That's standard. I mean, and that is standard.
Hardball them.
The art of the deal with David Turner.
Like, regardless of what I think morally, never accept the first offer. If you're going to take money, they'll come back twice, maybe 3 times. You'll get bigger money for that. Don't you worry about that, Charlotte. What did everyone put?
I said sign it.
Whoa!
Really?
You never accept the
fuck
first
has
offer,
happened to
Sean.
I was like, I didn't take the money either. I was like, I'm not signing
turned it
this.
down.
Why did you get him to sign it?
Blood money. It's like, ugh.
Because
What's happened to you, Sean?
Well, for starters, at this point, we had no idea the extent of the fucking conspiracy, right?
Yeah, no, the whole game was going to finish there, Sean. It was all fine.
Yeah. Completed it. Got the money.
Accept the offer. That was a very
Took the money
short
and
game,
run.
but okay.
It's a valid ending.
Dead kid, and I've got a lovely bit of money.
like basically, like, because broadly speaking, I was just like, well, they're a huge company. No matter what comes out, they'll fucking survive it, right? So therefore,
why bother?
Might as well have 50
she
quid.
might as well get the cash to get Ethan through college and shit.
Yeah, okay. Just ignore him. Just ignore the death.
The
Oh, mate,
culpability. Yeah, like in the death of a loved
Yeah, but
one.
at this point, we didn't know that it was malicious.
Yeah, but the fact
you
of
say,
saying here's a
At
massive
least
cash
it wasn't
offer
Ethan.
that says guilty.
38% said sign it. 62 said don't. So you can just miss this encounter entirely, but apparently nobody did. And if you don't talk to her, she does sign it. Apparently.
Oh really? Oh
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so
Alright.
signing it
Well,
as canon.
positive.
How rubbish.
Signing it's canon. Yeah. See, I just told her go with her heart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you went go for the money.
Right. So then I took this opportunity to explore the town for the first time properly.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I met the bald guy.
Yeah.
You go, the bald guy is always red. I said, this is absolutely shocking.
I'm
towards bald people.
Is it
They
this
should-
the guy
until you
that's
told
like
me.
losing his shit at anything?
the first time you meet him, he's sitting there, you get inside his mind, and he's going, ah!
And it's horrible. Like, it's really horrible. It's so loud and just instant. Like, yeah,
But that
really
is what it's like if you've got no
shook me up.
hair.
It's true.
That's what I'm dealing with
constantly
every
like,
day of
isn't
my
it?
life.
Yeah.
It's realistic representation. Is that
Yeah, I
what
mean,
you're
I
talking
was like,
about?
finally, they represented me, you know, and like this is the first character I actually truly believe in Life is Strange game. I actually want the next one to be about him. I want to control Bald Man.
They've nailed it.
Yeah,
They've
his
nailed
power
it.
is just shiny head when a light is near it. You know, but I'll take that.
Right, now I don't remember this bit, but I've then written, big decision. Did you tell Eleanor about Gabe or spare her the pain? Oh, that's it.
So this is the whole
Eleanor-
Alzheimer's
yeah.
bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I felt bad
So
about
Eleanor
this.
had forgotten that it was a memorial for Gabe. So did you tell her?
Well, hang on,
Now,
do we want to talk about the whole section first? Because I thought this was really interesting.
Okay, cool. Because I've got lots to say about this actually. But
Okay.
let's
Go. Before we get to, so that bit I was talking about in the previous thing, that was in episode 1. I don't think you'll have. Surely the questions I had for Eleanor in the first episode aren't going to be the same ones you asked her in episode 2. So you must have just
Possibly.
not gone to the flower shop in chapter 1.
No idea.
I guess right.
I did.
guess
I
so.
know. As I say, I did, but it was just Riley there. It wasn't Eleanor.
Oh, right. Okay. Weird. Okay.
So don't know, but yeah, you get there and basically Eleanor's. I can't remember how obvious it is initially that she's struggling. She just seems a bit panicked, doesn't she? And then as you get into her head, it's become clear that she's having a panic attack because her memory's going and there's just stuff everywhere that like she doesn't understand, like things she's done, orders she's placed, and none of it makes any sense to her. I thought the way this was illustrated was, I mean, horrible, but like beautifully done. Like, because I don't know if any of you get this, but I sometimes find myself in situations like that where I'm just surrounded by stuff and I have to just kind of pick up like what I was doing based off the information in front of me. Like, so
my view is that I suppose I'm in not a unique situation. Loads of people going through it, but I've experienced like Alzheimer's firsthand, you know, right the way through, with family members. And I think this was like, this wasn't, I suppose I'd put it this way. If you were trying to explain Alzheimer's to someone that hadn't experienced it firsthand, then this isn't a bad way of doing it. But as a reflection of reality, I don't think it works. Because
it's
it isn't
very... Go on, sorry.
It isn't just, remember you did this. Oh, I remember now. And now I can connect all my bits together. It's not like that, because by the time you would have gotten to sort of the third thing, the first thing would have been forgotten.
Again. Yeah.
And you're disorientating, and it's different stages, right? I mean, we didn't know how far into the disease she was. And it could have been one of those situations where you're piecing it together. It didn't reflect the sort of situations that I'd been in personally, but I think as a way of trying to explain it and get the idea across of what people go through on a day-to-day basis, I didn't think it was wrong. I didn't think it was effective. I didn't think it was offensive. But it didn't reflect my experience of it, and
it's not.
People experience different things as well. So mine's
and I guess it's this is very much showing like the earlier signs of sort of conditions like that, where because it's hardly like it's not like she's looking at Riley and she doesn't know who she is anymore. It's a long way off that.
Yeah.
But you basically you have to guide her through, don't you, and sort of help her piece together sort of what she was doing. Which ends with it's like in conversation, like Eleanor. I think she just mentions Gabe, doesn't she? And
she does.
And she's obviously forgotten that he has died and that his wake was half an hour ago. And so you get the choice whether to tell her or not.
What did you guys do?
I did. I told her, and then I felt bad because it was traumatic for her. Obviously,
I told her as well.
I spared her the pain, and then I also felt bad. Actually,
well,
what happens when you spare her the pain?
Well, I mean, not a lot really. Just but she was just like, oh, okay, fine. Yeah, I can't remember what the reason was I gave, but I didn't tell her the truth, and then she went on with her day, and I left thinking. I didn't want to upset her, but I also felt like it wasn't fair. I mean, like, she can't have everyone in her life just lying about the world.
That's exactly it.
And so I felt I wanted to do right by her by protecting her at that point, because I still barely knew her, new in town and whatnot, but also afterwards, like, that's just not fair on her, ultimately.
I mean, I think I'd assumed that Alex was going to be a bit more gentle with the news. Like, I can't remember exactly how it plays out, but she's pretty much like, well, he's dead, yeah? Like,
Like, what I've got in my notes is that, I've sort of been in this position a number of times, and I just always felt that the right thing to do was to tell the truth. And, it can hurt sometimes, but at the same time, trying to pretend that there's not a problem is a problem in itself, right? The person that's going through this has to understand that they're going through this because a lot of people that go through Alzheimer's for a long time refuse to believe it's happening, and they'll go, I'm just being a bit forgetful, or all that sort of stuff, whereas actually the reality of the situation is a lot more it's a lot more serious. And I think trying to avoid direct problems is not a great thing to do. So I put after it, okay, that didn't go well, and it didn't go well, but that's what's happened. And trying to create a fake world around her, I think, is not going to help anyone.
Exactly, it wasn't fair. I tried to protect her, but wasn't thinking about the bigger picture, so I felt bad afterwards.
Okay. Then we see Mac, who's extremely distressed about something.
Return of the
I think
Mac.
He's down by the bridge, right, and curled up in a ball and talking to him, just like shouting at himself. And it says, you got the opportunity to calm Mac down or walk away. I said, it's clear now that he's not actually done anything wrong. So I helped him calm down. Because I think at that point you can get inside his mind, right? And he knows that he phoned in that request to stop. So that you kind of realise that actually Mac's not in the wrong here.
I mean, he was deeply messed up as well, like in general, in many ways. And this is why I felt, I didn't think it was right to make him suffer further if I could help a little.
No, definitely not.
And isn't it, I think maybe you don't know the full extent of it, obviously, at this point, but it's clear that, like, Typhon have put pressure on him to say that he didn't get the call. So it's very much like, right, he might be a dick, but he is also a victim in this. 96% calmed him down.
Wow.
So shout
That's
out
huge.
to the 4% who just walked away and left him to it. I mean, to be fair, given how he has acted thus far, I'm surprised there weren't more people that were just like, fuck him. Like, knowing what people are like, I would have expected more people to just sort of abandoned.
Yeah. I think he was a piece of work and then fucking off. But yeah, it gets revealed that Mac did phone it in, but nothing happened. And then the next scene is
because you hear. No, that's not until later, is it? Where you actually hear the phone call that Mac.
No, that's later. Yeah. So then you're back at the scene of the accident with Ryan. Obviously, Ryan is not dealing with the whole situation well, as you would expect. Another one of those situations where you're looking at people reacting to the trauma that they went through and not experiencing Alex's. She's sort of there to deal with other people's trauma. Again, I'm sort of torn as to whether that was the point or not, but it did feel a little bit weird. So I put telling Ryan about Mac at the scene of the accident. Am I mad in thinking Gabe might not be dead? I always get suspicious when we don't see the body.
I was there with you. I was like, come on.
So then you explain your powers to Ryan. Think of something sad. He thought of Gabe's laugh. Yeah, what was that about? Because not only that, the Gabe's laugh was started making him laugh, right? Said Alex just T-posed.
No, that was not how it played out, is it?
I've got thinking of something sad.
So
Alex was thinking of something sad, and then Gabe thought of, and then Ryan thought of Gabe's laugh. That's what I got written down.
I'm trying to remember. I thought he told a sad story, and then that sort of turned on to him talking about this incident with the deer.
You're probably right.
Because this is how Alex discovers that she can also use or sense joy, right?
Yeah, because he's glowing.
Yeah.
He certainly was.
Alex just T-posed out of nowhere, and that was fucking funny. There was a few bugs in the game, and
I had that.
This was an emotional scene.
Yeah, me too. It was incredible because there's a really touching moment, thinking about sad things, and suddenly the camera changes, and it's like, "Whoa, T-pose!" It's like, "Oh shit, is that what you do when you get sad?" I mean, that was so out of the blue. I loved it.
They were telling a story about a goose dying, right?
Oh, the one I went with, or maybe there was a choice on this then. So basically, I got Ryan to tell a story about how they'd hit a deer on the road, and then he started trying to get Gabe to bury it and telling him like...
goose. It was a goose. It wasn't a deer.
Was it a goose? Okay, maybe it was a goose then. Yeah. Actually,
and then
because a deer's fucking
they
massive.
should not be laughing about this.
Yeah, and if you hit a deer with your car, that's not... The car usually comes off worse than the deer.
Yeah, it's a write-off.
You're right. And basically Ryan starts winding Gabe up, doesn't he, and telling him like the mounted police can like sense it unless you bury it like 8 feet deep or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's really nice because Alex starts telling bits of the story, doesn't she?
That's right.
Like alongside Ryan, and that's how he's like, "Oh my god, how do you know?" And
that's how she reveals her powers. So then at the end of all this, she gets the choice to either hug Ryan or give him a handshake. Who would give a handshake after that?
Yeah.
You'd hug.
That was the thing, because this is where I was... Yeah, okay, because we shouldn't talk about what choices we made in terms of like relationships and stuff, but that's where I felt like there was a real connection was forming at that point, between them, for me.
Yeah.
And so I went for the hug.
Okay.
Same.
That's the end of the chapter. We're on to chapter 3.
It's just quickly. There is also the subject of Ryan's forgiveness. Whether he forgives himself or you forgive him, or you say, "I think Gabe would let you off the hook." To be honest, which actually most people went with.
Really,
I convinced him to forgive himself.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
I felt that was more important. Only 20%.
Gabe would forgive you. Like that's a bit of a weird.
66%. Alex offered Ryan Gabe's forgiveness. Don't really feel like...
No, I don't think it's your forgiveness to give, Alex.
Yeah.
But I was with you there, James, in terms of having a connection with Ryan, because like I said, at first, I felt like he's just the town hunk or whatever, and like I don't think I'm going to go with him. It's just a bit too obvious and stuff. But actually, he was just really sweet. I'm like, well, actually, although it doesn't look from the outside that we would go together, actually, he's just like a really nice, sweet guy. So maybe so was,
Well, I don't know.
That's the thing. I felt he was a very solid guy. I thought,
No, not for me.
So he likes him.
Okay, I got chapter 3, Monster or Mortal. What? Now Steph knows. And then you're back working at the bar. Steph knows about your powers. And then I put, none of these fuckers are saying thank you when I clear their tables. Very rude. Very rude clientele in that pub, isn't there? I completed the stupid Breakout arcade game. You know the Breakout game?
Yeah, I didn't bother with that. The one in the flat.
I tried the one in the flat and it was boring. I was
that stupid. That was the Ghost Mine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean, in your game, was Ethan in that Ghost Mine game, like crying in the corner?
Yeah, but was he the boss? End boss?
Yeah, he was the end boss. Zombie Ethan. Yeah. No, the Breakout game I played all the way through to the end. I don't know why.
So was Breakout the one in the apartment or in the bar?
The Breakout was the one in a bar.
Okay.
And do you know what killed me? The fact that you get to the end, and I went to put in like some funny initials into the arcade machine, but it just auto fills it as Alex. And I was like, oh, brilliant, nice one. I wanted to put like bum or
something really clever.
Yeah. Book. Something like that. But no. It just auto fills it to Alex. Right, I said big decision. You have a choice. You have to choose which of the stupid fucking plans you have to go with to get the laptop. Right. So, I mean, the whole plan was ridiculous, right? The plan was to seduce. What was her name? Diane.
Yeah,
Diane.
Yeah.
So either Ryan or Steph are going to try and seduce.
Yeah, it was
Diane.
It's like Saved by the Bell kind of hijinks. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
this is ridiculous. I work here for a kick-off. I wouldn't mind if it's a random bar, but I actually work here.
And it's great because he's sort of like, well, this will never work, and then it kind of does, and then they're like, oh my god, I can't believe that worked. Except Diane instantly figures out.
Yeah, but also when it was going on, it's like it shouldn't be working. There's no way,
it wasn't convincing.
There's no way that Diane should be believing what is going on here. It's
no, but as we soon find out that this is all pretty much again making you choose between Ryan and Steph, and look, we'll get there. For starters, you know. We haven't spoken about Steph much in this spoiler cast, and I suppose we'll get to that at some point because I think her character comes out a little bit more later. I mean, for me, instantly I thought Steph was great because I remember her from Before the Storm, and because she was a role-playing game. She's the dungeon master or whatever in Before the Storm, and obviously instantly cool person. Just I don't know, just naturally love Steph. Ryan, I found a bit cheesy, if I'm totally honest. But
no, Ryan was cheesy, and that's why I thought when I first saw him, it not for me. But then actually, behind the abs and the good-looking exterior, I thought actually, maybe there is a sweet guy behind there.
There was more to him, and this is why
he had more depth.
With Steph,
got layers.
No, there wasn't.
No,
Steph's
there was.
Great.
No, I know, but we've seen characters like Steph so many times in these games. Like
go on.
No, is in like her character. Like the quirky, sort of, dungeon master, all that kind of stuff. There's been loads of games where they
dyed hair.
Well, yeah, that's true. Whereas, like
who's
Ryan,
Steph like?
What do you mean?
She's just had loads of them in this game.
She reminded me loads of Chloe.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Outrageous. No way. No, Chloe's she was a very troubled teenager.
Steph is also troubled as well. She goes through a lot of things.
Steph was as well.
Yeah.
Steph was just cool.
No, I'm totally with you, James. I was like, I just thought, no, I don't trust her. It's just she could flip
you don't
on.
Trust her?
She can flip on a dime. It's just another edgy person that I probably don't need in my life.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't dislike her or anything like that. I just didn't find her very interesting. Like was the thing.
Ryan's too. He had something going on. Ryan.
No, I mean, she was fine, but she did nothing for me at all.
Okay.
Ryan is the less popular choice here, 39%.
Yeah, I chose Steph to go over.
Me too.
Did you all choose Ryan?
No, I went
you
Steph.
Did choose Steph.
I'm just talking like generally, but for this plan, both great plans, we can all agree. No, I went Steph.
Yeah, I went with Ryan.
I went with Ryan because he's he's a dreamboat.
Like, he is a hump.
So Diane seems into Steph in my version. I think the shit plan actually worked. Ryan is taking the USB thing to a friend to unlock. Right, so I've sort of skipped ahead here.
My note here is
this is relevant. This is relevant. I put Ryan is taking the USB thing to a friend to unlock. I do not trust him. I just assumed he was like, the way he went, hey, I know a friend that can unlock this USB key. Goodbye, I'm going to take it now. I just thought, hold on a minute. And if we knew what we know now, I was fully justified in not trusting him. Fully justified.
Well, yeah, David, I thought you said earlier you can't read into the future, so at the time you had no reason not to trust him.
But like, I agree. But and obviously it turns out that you should have trusted him because he was a trustworthy character.
So what are you talking about?
But at the time, for someone to suddenly go, hey, this thing we've been trying to get, I'm going to walk away with it on my own for a bit. And, I'll let you know how it goes. And I just thought, hold on a minute. What's going on with Ryan?
Yeah, I was thinking, don't use it to make like a boot drive for Windows. This is not the time to lose all the data. You have to format it, install as a random files. Don't do it. My note here is Diane is a lying twat, end of. So I was not a fan. It's like, stop lying, Diane. You're clearly like a company spokesperson. You're just lying out your ass to protect you in the business. Forget it.
Not a fan of Diane either, to be honest with you. Just found out that I should be gardening on the roof. This is one of those things that, so I went up onto the roof and weeded, did a few bits and pieces.
What do you mean you just found out? Did another character say, hey, how's that gardening?
No, I went up there for the first time.
Because I went up there and looked around, but I didn't. Were you supposed to make clippings or something? What are you supposed to do?
You do weeding. You just like go
do weeding in there.
No, I don't think I just looked around a bit.
And that. Oh, you just didn't do it. You just let it all die.
I just thought I've got enough shit on my plate. Then this.
It's fair. I mean, I can't argue with you, but I remember the plant in Life is Strange season 1, and it just made me think, oh, that was a big thing for some people, so maybe I should keep doing this. But the amount of times I went to do it, and Alex just went, I don't think I should go up there, and I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Whose voice was that?
Yeah,
Alex's.
Where's she from?
I don't know.
That is
right. So the gardening on the roof. This is easily the slowest start to a Life is Strange game so far. And I think that become a running theme with me. I mean, certainly for the rest of this episode. There seemed to be a lot of stuff that wasn't really focused on the main story, and a hell of a lot of big decisions that really didn't feel like big decisions. Mm-hmm. When you think back to Life is Strange Season 2, we're already at episode 3 in this. Season 2, I think you'd already gotten away from the police and were staying as fugitives at your nan and granddad's.
I mean, also, this... See, we can't... there's nothing I really want to say about this game overall that I think is not so good, actually.
I think we'll get there.
Yeah,
but
I think you know what I'm talking about. I think I
know what you're talking about.
And there's a lot of wasted time, I think, with some things.
It really did feel like a slow build-up. I mean, that first episode was really good. The second episode, I think, was good. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed my time in Life is Strange True Colours. But I think I was a little bit let down by how little drama there was in between, say, episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 1 and episode 5. I think, episode 5 was full of drama. Episode 1, good character building, good drama at the end of it. I think the next 3 episodes seemed a little bit plodding for me.
It's like it feels like they had tons of really good ideas for just sort of little slice of life bits.
Yeah.
And they've included most of them where actually, I mean, which I liked, but it's to the detriment of the overall flow of the story, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Right. Time for a LARP. Here we go. This is this whole bit. So let me just run through some notes here, and then we'll talk about the LARP overall. I put this at this point. I'm very happy that Joe has fallen asleep on the sofa. Oh, that's right. So my wife was asleep on the sofa while this was kicking off.
Which character is that? I don't remember Joe character in this episode.
If Joe looked up and saw what was going on the screen, I don't think she would have let me continue playing. To be honest,
let's renew our vows right now, or have another child.
I put, oh god, it's turn-based. What's with the dollar on the floor? And in quotes, did Ethan drop this? What was that about? Did you notice that?
No.
So after your first battle with Ryan dressed up as the wolf, you kill him, you loot his body, and then if you walk back up the path you come down, there's a dollar bill on the floor.
Yeah, well,
and
that's
you look down
to collect.
at it. No, it's not. It said, did Ethan drop this?
Yeah.
And you can't do anything.
I remember
with
that,
it.
it's just, because I thought, this is weird. Is this some plot point or something that's going to come up? But then there's nothing. Like, it's nothing to do with it.
I don't remember that. Must not have spotted it.
Yeah, really strange
so
thing.
That wasn't the thing you collect a few of and you go back to the other person and they give
you
get like gold, don't you?
Gold coins, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So I put, it's funny how Alex is running around finding everything while Ethan just walks behind her. So it was like this whole thing was set up for Ethan, and Alex is just like, okay, follow me, kid. I'm going to solve this mystery.
Well, that's kind of like, any parent going to like a kid's thing, and like the kid's either not bothered or too young. You're like, well, I've paid 40 quid in this theme park. We're going to bloody do this.
That's true.
Like, I don't know, loads of times. Like, look, come on, we'll look at the clues. We'll look at this. We'll do this robbing on this tree. Like, I don't give a fuck, Dad. No. We'll do it.
But then, Matt, that's when you
quite realistic.
That's when you say to them, this is rubbish, isn't it? This is.
I mean, you don't say that. You just go along and hope they get into it, James, and that's what felt quite realistic to me.
See, my favourite thing about this, and I've skipped most of the LARP because, there wasn't anything.
No, the LARP was fucking brilliant.
No, it wasn't.
No, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really, really well done, really detailed. I really truly felt part of like an event.
I thought it was funny. It had one of my favourite moments with Ryan, my boyfriend, and it was just the bit where you see into Ethan's head and you see how he's perceiving the whole thing because he's actually using his imagination.
No, that bit was class.
That
bit was class right at the end of that. But I guess, because I'd felt that things were slow already and I wanted to get on with the main plot.
That was the problem I had with it.
This just seemed to drag out for a long time for someone that wanted to see what was next in the story. You know what I mean?
It did feel like a massive deviation. I totally agree. It was slow before, and this is almost like, this is like Monster of the Week stuff in X-Files. It's totally just like, this is an episode not even related to the story at all. But
did you not
I
even
still
laugh
thought it was really well done.
Oh, God.
When
every time I saw
Ryan as
Ryan...
a wolf, and he fucking chucks some money out as he's lying on the floor.
Every time, and then when you meet the next enemy and it's Ryan again, that stuff made me laugh. But I said my favourite thing about this was when they totally worked this in there, where loads of people in this town are doing this LARP for Ethan, but there's also people in the town that have no idea what was going on, and walking past them, and they're like, "What the fuck?" That stuff was funny. That's the bit that I found funny, because I'd be one of those people sitting on the bench just going, "What's going on?"
Dressed up. What's the?
Well, that was quite.
You're doing it for the only kid in town. Oh, right, yeah, okay,
yeah, makes sense. Everything's weird again. It must be must be a whole town-wide event for the one child.
Yeah, I thought that kid died in the mines. Oh no, he didn't.
Imagine if you wanted to go get the new Kings of Leon album, and it's what's all this witch shit? Can you just have an album, please? You must answer a riddle before you get it.
It's all
just
that.
Give me the fucking
that's
thing.
what I hated. I just hate
Eye
all
of
that.
Batten, wing of Batten, Eye of Newt. If you want the new Kings of Leon album.
You see, the thing is, right, I've got nothing against laughing or whatever, but it's just
here we go.
I thought you said laughing.
No,
I thought you said, I've got nothing against laughing.
Yeah, I've heard it's quite fun. But I haven't.
But no, it's just the best medicine at all.
Despite what people claim.
Forget it.
No, go on, Dan.
Sorry, I apologise.
No, it's just I don't like the dwarf stuff and jesters and all that kind of thing.
Fucking hell, get any episode
jesters.
Done. Okay,
there are jesters. There are jesters.
Who's the
Sean.
jester?
There's a jester with a fucking riddle. Like in the game.
There is. There is. He's right.
There's a jester.
Kill Jester.
I did. Did you do the Jester riddle? Because I didn't.
I did. Yeah.
It was really funny. Like the Jester went, the free of the rainbow, and I was just walked off. Come on, kid, let's go. Yeah. I don't think that guy was actually invited to LARP. So keep your distance.
Yeah.
I did all the bits. It genuinely felt like an event in town. It was really well done. It just felt like when you've gone to kind of local events or or whatever.
No, but-
it just felt realistic, and I thought it was really well done. Like they're really committed to the bit. Loads of great detail. I love the fact that everyone's in town. That it really truly felt like, you're doing this for this kid. It was great.
Everybody in town, the same people that we've already seen, all doing the same thing. If there'd been more people, more
They're
kids
all doing
and stuff
the same
like that.
thing. They're all dressed up as wizards and orcs and shit.
No, but it's still
you
the same people. Like what I'm saying is, if there was
it's the
more
same group
kids,
that know the kid.
If
Like,
there was
I don't
more
expect
kids
everyone in
there-
town to know the kid. Like this group of people know the kid, and they're doing it for him. So that made sense.
This was specifically for Ethan because he was feeling like shit.
Exactly,
but
but
you expect
understandable.
everyone in town to do it just because there's it's the kid. Like it's the friend group. It's the group of people that are doing it because I
So two good bits. Went to see Steph in the shop. She's the shopkeeper, and I read her mind, and she was secretly pissed off that I chose Ryan as the most attractive person to go and seduce.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But how could you not fall in love with Steph when you walk into that shop for the first time?
I did a bit, and again, that's another weird detour on my incredibly
because, so did you do the same as me,
relationship.
Matt? Did you flirt with Steph a bit here?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, same.
I totally flirt with Steph.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? That costume.
Oh. I did, yeah.
Put me in your cauldron.
But yeah, so there was a really nice bit with Ryan where when he's being the troll, because I had a feeling there was in the shop they have troll dust, and it's like, oh yeah, if you give this to a troll, it makes him, it stops him from being aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I have a feeling that's going to be like a cool, rather than just fight, because I think there's ways to get out of every fight, isn't there, more or less?
Yeah.
The one with the serpent there is, I think, and because I remember you find an item, don't you? And they're like, oh, if we'd had this when we fought the serpent, we could have subdued it or put it to sleep or something.
I put the serpent to sleep. I used
okay, you did.
I
right,
killed them all.
right.
I killed them all.
Fucking murdered your way across the
That's right.
So when he was being the troll, I got the troll dust and I used the troll dust on him.
Sorry, where's the fun in that though? Like for the kid, oh, it's a serpent. Don't fight it, kid. It's asleep now. Goodbye.
Let's go. No one likes the fighting in fantasy stories. What are you talking about? Lord of the Rings, Battle of Helm's Deep. Get rid of it. Bollocks.
That has no relevance to me,
sorry,
Sean,
about
and you
three
know that.
people at home just laughed. It's fine.
One of the greatest battles of all time in cinema history, David.
There you go. So basically I used the powder on him, and then he was sort of, and I think he says like, oh, I have to do whatever you say now or something, and you make him hand, he's got one of the gems that you need, hasn't he? So you make him hand that over, and then you have the option to make him say something nice about you. Did you do this?
Yeah, I did that.
This is the flirting then, is it?
I just thought this was really nice and like really well delivered, because for a second he sort of keeps up the troll voice and then he drops it. He kind of like, he goes like, you have the power to like see through the hearts of men, but you don't let it stop you believing in them. And I was like, mate,
that's quite nice.
Mate.
Yeah. That's a good line.
He's a hungry
lad.
hard
That's
goal.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's a special guy,
And that kind of became
He's a special guy.
He's a special guy, and that's why that sort of became my view of like Alex's arc, was that like most people, if you were going around and you could feel everything people were feeling, you could sort of read their minds to some extent, surely you would come away just feeling utterly cynical and just horrible about it. And it was, I don't know, and just that statement from Ryan, it was like, yes, I'm gonna carry on like being this way, but not judging people. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Which
But
then sort of.
What about the witch's outfit, Sean?
That was all.
Come
I mean, that
on.
is, yes, it's also a factor.
I was very confused at this stage in
the
game. Questioning everything.
But I genuinely was, and again, I guess we'll talk about it at the end. But yeah, I felt like the game was probably trying to match me up with Steph, but actually, I against what I would seem on like first glance. Actually, no, I was really happy with having him as my boyfriend, or whatever the status was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, to be fair, right? This is kind of the problem that I've got with it, it felt like, Rex and the Krogan from Mass Effect 3 if Rex dies. It was kind of like it was kind of like, here are two options, these are the options. They're both pretty similar, they're both have their qualities. It was which one are you going to choose, and it kind of felt interchangeable. And I think that was really sort of drummed home towards the end of the last episode, but I'm sure we'll get there. It was like, I can imagine these scenes playing out, but with just the other character
either
here.
one of them,
That's how it sort of felt. But anyway, who killed the king? I killed the king.
Yeah, I killed him.
Big time.
Yeah.
You can lose to the king, right?
Yes, you can, I think.
You can.
Yeah, if you're rubbish.
Although, according to the stats, nobody did.
No one did, right? Okay.
Yeah, 100%
so I put killed the king.
Him.
Then the sirens sound, and it kind of ruins everything. Alex tells Ethan that he didn't kill Gabe. I mean, he didn't, but he shouldn't have gone out there. Oh, Jesus Christ, David! Okay.
Well, I mean, this feeds into the conversation you end up having with Charlotte, doesn't it?
It does. So Charlotte's anger issues. She's angry with me. Oh, this is dark. And then, so this is the scene where she's working in her studio, right? And she's carving something. And you enter her mind, and that your sort of powers are stronger than they've ever been, right? Because Charlotte is so angry. And getting inside her mind is actually quite damaging. So okay, let me ask you guys first. You can either take her anger away or leave her with her anger. Which way did you all go?
So I left her with the anger.
So did I.
Okay.
Yeah, I did as well.
I took her anger.
Okay. You took it.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts for taking it?
I just thought, okay, I'm going to use this gift I have for good and try and make her life more bearable. But even as I did it, and even now, I'm like so mixed up for whether it's good if it's the right thing to do or not. Not by Alex, but by the person. Is it your emotions and how you see the world? Is that what defines you? If I would take that away, what does that really mean for you as a person? But at that time, at that moment, I thought, I'm going to take this pain away from her and hopefully make her feel better about herself and the world, and that's why I did it.
So that's precisely why I didn't, because I just thought I didn't feel like I had the right to do that. To take this feeling away from her.
That's where I was at, and I think there was a line that was said by Alex just before this big decision. Where Alex tells her that her feelings matter. The way she's feeling, the grief she's going through, it matters because it's an important part of the healing process, of the grieving process. So I put, I just told her that her feelings matter. So I'd be a total hypocrite to take these feelings away. She's grieving. I can't fuck with that. This crosses the line, I think, so I'm leaving her. And that was my decision. We berate each other for our decisions here, but I could totally see why you wanted to take the pain away, Matt.
Well, also, I felt horrible afterwards because I felt like, I could have done something there. But then,
did anyone else worry that it was going to take a really dark turn after you walked away?
I was just about to say,
I would have been really angry with the game if it did that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, there's definitely the implication that she could do something really bad to Ethan or herself. I mean, did anyone find, obviously, we're all parents, and I imagine we've all had that frustration of, our kids just not doing as they're told, not to the extent of, getting someone killed, but I've had Isaac run into the road for absolutely no reason, or grab a bottle of bleach from the kitchen and then kick off because I've tried to take it from him, or whatever.
Maybe he's wanting to clean a bathroom, Sean.
Maybe, yeah, bit of a state to be fair. But do you know what I mean? Those situations where it's just like, oh my God, can you please just listen to me? I promise what I'm telling you is correct. Just fucking do it. Just sit down. Just stop running into the road. Stop. You know what I mean? So, to have that feeling amplified to the extent of child didn't do as they were told and got my partner killed, yeah, this felt like a really raw and accurate,
confusing emotion,
and just like, because obviously initially as the player, like, oh, what the hell? Why do you hate Ethan? And then I was like, no, in that situation, you would think that. You would hate yourself for thinking it. But it would be
and
there.
You'd probably be even more angry if someone kept that news to themselves, right?
I don't know. I think I'd
not the time.
I think I'd let them off. I think I'd understand their reasons. But yeah, so choosing not to take the anger away was, I mean, for me, it was a little bit of a selfish decision, because, it sort of implied that, like, this might affect Alex. If she chooses to do it, but also it was like, no, Charlotte needs to process this by herself, or else it's...
Yeah, I think it's probably one of, if not the most powerful scene in the game, right?
Yeah.
This whole bit.
Yeah, for me, I didn't think about myself, and I thought, I have this gift, I'm going to use it and try and help people as much as I could, but I can also totally see your point, and... I can see both points of view. On the subject, kind of like taking pain away. I mean, like, and you were mentioning, like being a parent there, Sean. Like, there's been loads of times where Elodie's been upset or scared, and I'm like, I wish I could take this feeling away from you. I wish you weren't feeling in these ways. So part 100%. Of me, like, for that as well, it kind of linked to almost like parental. But
then
ways.
again, the counter argument still applies, doesn't it? Because
it does.
Yeah, Harry's had some moments where he's just been devastated about something, and I wish I could take it away, but it's part of dealing with your emotions.
Yeah,
it's part of take it away and snap it off every time.
Yeah.
What does that do to you?
It's part of being emotionally mature as a child or anyone, really. You've got to go through those kind of moments to. It sounds cheesy,
which is
but
like,
to find yourself and to develop and actually work out, actually realize, no, actually you are stronger than you thought you were. You can get through this. You can. You don't have to. These emotions don't have to take over your life. So I thought all these kind of decisions were really, really well done, and the fact that we can both see the other point of view, but also both like each of us made a decision and potentially were worried if we made the wrong one, and I would make a different one, and also worried. I think that I think makes these decisions not the biggest in terms of the history of decisions you make in Life is Strange games, but I think they're kind of really big on a macro scale, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
the fact that
totally.
we're like, what is the right way, and I've made a decision now, have I messed up? I think they're really good.
I think this was a very good decision, and I think it was a really interesting one. I don't think there was enough of him in the game, though. To this level.
No.
Yeah, totally.
I think the
you've got to remember, we're at the end of chapter 3 now.
Yeah, and this is the first time this has come in. Yeah. I thought this was going to be like...
Put the pad down, okay, like really think about this, where am I with it? But
I thought these were going to be pretty regular after this, because it's like, whoa, new ability. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting.
And it happens once again, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because it felt like it was gearing up to something, didn't it, as well at this point? There's going to be sort of a domino effect, but which doesn't really happen. I don't think.
So 47% left her with the anger. 53% took it, which is, when it's like a really even split, it's either like, well, that was either a really interesting decision or a really boring one, because it means there wasn't an obvious answer. But I think it's clearly this is a decision that everyone will have thought about. It's not a casual one.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it was. It was more on that scale.
Yeah.
So then listening to the recording of Gabe's call confirms everything that we knew. And learning about Rhea, Typhon were burying something. Who's Rhea?
Yeah, who is Rhea? Is she Diane's boss at Typhon? Is that who Rhea was?
Possibly. Yeah. Sorry about this, everyone. It's been a while since we played it, but so someone important. That was the end of the chapter. We go on to chapter 4, and again, this is another chapter that I was pretty surprised by how slow things were at the start of it, because, as you say, it really feels like it was building towards the end of this chapter to bang in chapters full of drama, but it doesn't. It starts with the festival. Before you go out, you get the opportunity again to look around your flat and just catch up with things. I mean, it's a common theme within this game that the timeline between chapters is kind of rough. unless you're reading the telephone text messages and emails and stuff constantly, I think it's hard to sort of keep up with where we are actually in the timeline of since Gabe's death. You know, it's it was a bit of a problem for me.
In between chapters, I was like, you know, sometimes it's hard to determine.
But anyway, festival time. Found Gabe's notebook. Nothing really interesting in there other than forgive Dad. Now, I don't know what drew me to that, but obviously that is a big part of the reveals in Chapter 5, which we'll get to. What's up?
Well, no, this is okay. This is part of my overall problem with the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. They're laying on the romantic choice between Ryan and Steph a bit thick. So this was the hey, you've got a rose and you should give it to someone. Is there an option in this game to go with neither of them?
I don't think there is.
Really? That sucks.
That feels like a shame if that wasn't the case.
Yeah. It would have been nice if...
scanning through the results screens. No, sorry, Alex didn't give anyone a rose is an option. 5% of players.
Yeah, no, that's didn't give anyone a rose.
Yeah.
Because you could just not pick up the rose. But by the end of the game, have you got to settle with either...
Oh, I see.
Ryan or Steph? Because that changes the whole end of the game,
is your question at the end, do you have to be either one or the other?
Yeah.
No, you can... You don't have to go with either one.
No, exactly. Okay. Yeah, you can choose not to bother. And
okay, fine. Jed's thoughts. It's been a hell of a month, but this makes it all worthwhile. Sorry, Jed. What? Because I was thinking this festival makes it all worthwhile. The death of Gabe, the breakdown of a community through grief. This festival made it all worthwhile, did it, Jed?
Yeah.
You having a laugh?
Alarm bells, red flags at that point.
Red flags, red flags. I gave the rose to Steph. They seem way more suited than Alex does with Ryan, is what I put. I've got a feeling I'm going to get some kickback from that thought.
No, not kickback.
I don't think so.
I went with Ryan, obviously.
Okay, good.
I gave it to Ryan, because
again, Ryan, but reasons.
I hadn't anticipated at the beginning seeing him. So, oh wow, it's just some honk. I'm me, but no, gave it to Ryan because at that point I was like, you know, he's a sweetheart.
I felt they matched well, you know, with this. It was. Yeah.
I thought Alex and Steph matched well, so fuck you.
But overall, I thought the festival was fun. I thought that was again really well done.
It was alright. The jelly bean stuff was a bit like, oh okay.
No,
guessing how many jelly beans.
That was the recurring character, right? That was the one that you can help find their dog when you first go into the record store.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of people in that festival where you can. There's like a boyfriend and girl. There's like a couple of people arguing on a bench. I think they're a boyfriend and girlfriend.
That's right.
You can have like fix a relationship or do something. There's a bunch of different.
No, they weren't in a relationship. They were just friends, but they both clearly loved each other, and you get the opportunity to get them together. But what was funny about that is that the first time I sort of interacted with those two was the last time you're supposed to react to them. So all of a sudden, I got the option to get them together, and it was like they got together, and I thought, there's a backstory here that I haven't been following.
These guys.
I've just jumped into the final part of a film and sort of just seen the ending of it. I didn't feel warranted.
Did you help Ducky at all? Did you go into the pub?
Yeah, I did all that. Yeah.
Help Ducky what? What did you do?
I think I missed
go into the pub and
this is Ducky, the sort of regal, eccentric guy, right?
Yeah, the older
taxidermist.
Guy. I can't remember what helped him, but I wrote here I helped Ducky, and I gave the rose to Ryan.
Yeah,
do you remember?
I didn't do that,
Farley.
Yeah, I helped him because it was all to do with his past and the people who left behind and everything, and it was it's a chat, isn't it? When on the bar stools and stuff. Yeah.
Damn, I missed all that. I've got Riley as skipping town. It felt like I should have gone looking for her, but the game didn't seem to want to let me. So you find that Riley is skipping town while you're at the festival. And at the time, it didn't really give you the option to leave the festival and go wandering around the town. So I kind of felt that is that really how it's going to end? Thankfully, it doesn't do that, but we'll get to that.
No.
And now Alex is on stage for some reason.
This bit was fucking brilliant. I love this.
What? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was all right. Okay.
I don't really remember it. What do they do? They just play. She played guitar. Yeah.
Just that excellent jump cut where they're like, because obviously it's been sort of teased that there's going to be a band on stage, and they never mention who it is, and then they just like put Alex's guitar on her, and she's kind of stood there, and then it just bang, like the background just changes, and she's on the stage, and she's just like, this is the worst fucking idea ever. Like, I thought it was great. And obviously, I
didn't think it was bad.
It's a complete fantasy because they're like, "What the hell? We've never even played together or practiced or anything," and then they just flawlessly do
1, 2, 3, 4. Wow! But we played the same song. That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that whole bit was great because it was just like, despite everything that's going on. I mean, I guess again. This sort of perhaps falls into the same pit as the LARP stuff, but I was just like, do you know what? Alex is allowing herself to just exist and enjoy herself, despite everything that's going on, and I just thought it was great.
Well, it makes it all worthwhile, Sean. It makes it all worthwhile.
Famously, yeah.
He's no brother, yeah.
People
all worthwhile
died,
this festival.
Great gig.
Okay, I put scene with Charlotte. I chose to say there's still time for us to be friends because obviously she's still angry, and this was when she was on the sort of what do you call it, a little pier. It's like a short pier.
The dock.
She's just staring off into the water, and she's still obviously got some anger towards you and anger towards the situation. And I explained there's still times for us to be friends. Like, I wasn't trying to force it. I think I dealt with this conversation quite well, to be fair. Not like as a big up to myself. I just thought the way that conversation panned out felt actually quite touching and natural and realistic, really, more than anything else. I don't know how things are going to pan out with her. Right now, it feels like something should be that should be out of my hands. It felt like she was going on a journey and I didn't need to get involved with it. So I wasn't trying to force things and say, hey, cheer up, anything like that.
Yeah.
It was more, I'm going to let you say what you need to say. I'm going to let you know that I'm not giving up on you and that I can still be a friend if you want that at some point in the future. But at the same time, you've got to do what you've got to do. And that's kind of how I left it with Charlotte there.
Okay.
It felt good.
Yeah, I did.
Felt good, that whole conversation.
I did exactly the same, and it did feel like it was a good ending to that point, I thought.
There's interesting the way this shows up on the decision summary is either, so it's 50-50, and it's either Alex and Charlotte shared a bittersweet moment in the festival, or Charlotte felt weirdly detached at the festival.
Yeah, I think a bittersweet moment for me.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think that's how it was left.
Because I wondered if, so when I saw the thing that said felt weirdly detached, I was a bit like, oh shit, is this like, if you take the anger away from her, does it sort of leave her a bit
just confused?
Like, she sort of,
just
sort of emotionally.
That was what I got, and I thought, oh fuck, I've actually messed her up more.
That must be it then.
Maybe, yeah.
At that point, I was like, I regret this because I messed her up more because she suddenly doesn't have this feeling anymore that's been a part of her for so long. And now she hasn't got it, and she's not sure why. And I can't say, well, I took your power. I actually took your anger away from you.
Yeah, I did that. Say thanks.
Can't say that.
What really, what a really subtle way of getting that point across. That's really well done.
Yeah. It was really well done.
It's like the theft of when your young brother steals from the guy that takes you across. In season 2.
Not like
young
that,
brother,
because that was life and death. And this is just
no, because mine did that as well. But it was like a really subtle way of just going, you shouldn't be doing that. You're teaching this kid to do stuff that maybe you shouldn't. Okay,
thieving.
So then,
when you're on the streets, mate, you got to survive.
Then you get to walk around the town. The bald guy got clamped. Honestly, he's not doing great things for bald people, to be honest, because he was just going absolutely ballistic.
So.
Yeah. I noticed a hot dog on the lamppost.
Was
Did anyone else notice that? A little nod to previous Life is Strange series. And then I found Riley near the bridge. Big decision. Do you tell Riley about Eleanor? So Riley's skipping town. Eleanor, is it her mother?
Grandma, I think, isn't it? No.
Grandma?
Yeah.
Someone like that. She's related, or they're really close working, they work in the same place and all that. Do you tell Riley that Eleanor is suffering from Alzheimer's?
Yes, I went yes.
Sean?
I was going to go last, and then you'll find out why in a minute.
Okay, James?
This is the decision that I hated the most in the entire game, because I...
Really?
Because I didn't tell her, and I really regretted that. Like, massively regretted it. Yeah.
Yeah,
what was
so
your reasons
my
for
notes
that?
say, and obviously I don't want to, whatever, it's my life. I put absolutely, I told her, as someone that's had this stuff kept from them before. Oh no. As someone has had this stuff kept from them before, this is totally the right thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And again, from personal experience, where things have happened in my family and it's been kept from me, even as an adult. And when you find out, I don't think I've ever been so upset and furious in my life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
This is
like
exactly
genuinely,
why.
yeah.
This is why I felt horrible after I did it, and I was just like, "Oh, why did I do that? That wasn't right. That was not the right way to go."
It's it sucks. It sucks. And look, look, this is a personal thing, isn't it? It's not something that I'm going to go, "Oh, James, come on, man." Like, it's not like that. But this affected me the most because it's
something you've gone through, isn't it?
I've lived through. And I, honestly, Matt, so angry afterwards about it. Like, I just think, you're not protecting me there. You're taking away something that I should have, I should have choice over myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it would have changed the way I acted or the way I reacted to things if I'd have known the truth. So why, like, what are you protecting here other than you're able to not tell me something really sad that's happening?
Well, because
you know what I mean?
In this case, it affects whether or not Riley goes to university, doesn't it? Or school, college, whatever.
It does.
Which is,
but then she wants to go to school, college, but she needs to make that decision knowing the reality of
she needs full range of facts, didn't she? And she didn't have that.
You've made what you're doing is you're saying the right decision is to go to school, college, whereas she might be thinking the right decision is to look after someone that's looked after me for so long.
Yeah.
You know,
now I know the truth.
Totally. So,
this fucked me up a bit. This one, I can lie.
Yeah, Sean, what was your decision?
Are you ready for this? I
Go on.
didn't see Riley at the bus stop. I completely missed this whole bit.
Whoa.
Oh, no.
Yep. Didn't even realise she'd gone until I saw it on the results screen.
You're like, who?
No, you didn't even... Wasn't it mentioned? It's mentioned at the festival, though.
I think it is. I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know, looked at, pressed the action button on the wrong things and just sort of ended up going on to the next bit without talking to her.
Oh my God, so what happened? Like, how did you feel about that?
Weird, but also... I'm technically in the majority. 46% of players didn't see her.
Oh, really?
So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a shame. But
well, it was a bit out of the way, wasn't it? You'd have to wander around to find it.
Yeah.
I think. If you were just staying around the festival area, you wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I kind of saw it and I was like, well, I wasn't hugely attached to Riley anyway. But then it's not. Then it's about Eleanor as well, isn't it? It's about them as a pair rather than, just Riley. But yeah, no. So I just didn't. Just it didn't occur to me to go out of my way to find her, and I just didn't see any of this. So, hey,
okay. I put the next bit. The next bit really does feel like it's now not set in stone as such, but it's certainly going, okay, this is the fork in the road, whether the game is sort of pushing you, whether you're going down the Ryan path or the Steph path, right? Because I think you're up on the garden and
it's up on the roof,
I'm assuming
the
roof. And I'm assuming either Ryan or Steph comes up to talk to you on the roof.
It's whoever you give the rose to.
That's right.
Yeah.
So for me, it was Steph. Steph tells you that she's leaving Haven Springs, and she seems really happy about it. So I didn't want to kill her vibe, even though I was absolutely devastated for Alex. But you do get to choose where she goes. So before we get to that, what did you get then, James, when Ryan come up?
See, I had Ryan, and so he suggests like doing business together, and like he wants to stay in town.
Excuse me,
he doesn't want to go anywhere. No, he suggests like we should like work together or whatever, and we should stay here.
That's quite a proposal.
Yeah,
that's quite. Should we do business? Should we start up now? Or
this is also the other reason.
Romance has been very nice, but we need to start a company. We need to think about our careers really before we.
But this was the other reason why I felt happy with the choice of him as well, because it felt like she really wanted to be. This was like the first place that she'd felt safe. Like I felt. Like this town, and that's why she should stay there, and that was the right thing to do, and he wanted to stay there as well. And it was the thing.
But
really
James,
raising capital, James, for a new startup is very stressful.
It's not, Matt. You'd think that, but in this town, it's not so much of a problem because you've got a bar, you've got like a CD shop and vinyl shop and everything there. It's all there.
Got a pharmacy.
Excuse me,
a CD shop.
A CD shop or CD shop.
It's the early 90s, and it's like, there's...
No, it isn't, though.
I know it's not, but it's just, it feels like it's trapped in that, isn't it?
No, I think the joke was, James, that it sounded like you said a CD shop, like
so
an adult store or something. Yeah. Okay, all right, it's the early 90s. So you get to choose... I assume you get to choose a business?
Yeah.
Does he put three business proposals down?
It's either the CD shop or it's the bar you can choose.
Compact disc shop.
Yeah, okay.
The bar, yeah.
But there's still vinyl.
Sorry, it's just vinyls in it because it's one of those places.
Vinyl in there.
It's cool. I said, I mused about working in the record store, and Ryan's like, well, that'd be lovely, but, you'd have to, like, get rid of Steph first. Of course, little did I know, Steph was planning on leaving anyway. And then you get the choice whether to have a smooch with him or not, which hilariously, so out of all the people who invited Ryan, gave Ryan the rose and were presumably interested in pursuing a romance with him, 1% just went for a hug in the end.
Well, maybe those are the ones that were just like, let's just keep this strictly business.
That's true.
Or take it slow. You don't need to rush into it.
Only a snog, innit? 28%.
Well, now we're working together. Workplace relationships are never a good idea.
Do not mix business and pleasure with CDs, and never do that.
So mine was that Steph wanted to leave Haven Springs to go and just tour, play music, and just go on an adventure, basically. And she lays free postcard down. I can't remember the other two, but one of them was Berlin, and the other ones were like weird. It was like the ocean.
Yeah, I just had a look. There's Salem, Berlin, or ocean. Is the
I go ocean
get
now.
in the sea. Let's go.
We're going to Berlin then. We're going to Berlin.
Maybe
that's where
ocean. Maybe it's a cruise ship. She's going to do. They're going to do like.
What's going to do? Jane McDonald this
year? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then she asked for Alex to come along. They shared a kiss. That was a nice moment. Alex is totally going to Berlin, by the way. I mean, once we take it down, once we take Typhon down, this town is fucking dead anyway. Because I was thinking, Typhon are funding everything. I want to take Typhon down, but the result of that is that there's this completely useless town in the middle of nowhere with no funding. So anyway, right, okay.
Yeah. So then I kissed Ryan, and it felt like you're totally right, James. I felt safe. This is where my future lies at that point, because got a lovely old kiss from Ryan, and I'm going to work in a record store. So tick tick.
Okay, we'll come to those final decisions later, because it comes up at the end. Right, so you call Pike the police, the pranking policeman is what I called him for it.
Funny cop.
And then I handed the USB drive, and Pike is a bad guy. This is a stitch up.
Yep.
Well, so my notes were, before that, I said, okay, so we're giving Pike the cop the USB drive and explaining everything. I guarantee he's on the take. He's paid by Typhon blatantly.
Yeah.
I was just like, even if he isn't, was like, well, even when they were doing the whole, stealing the USB stick thing, it's like, well, obviously this is going to be inadmissible as evidence because we fucking stole it. So I was like, well, this is going to go south. And it does.
But also, why are they not making duplicate copies and all that kind of stuff?
He stole our only copy of everything we needed. Whoops.
Get in the Dropbox. What are we doing?
So yeah, it's in the Dropbox, guys. So I'll just run through my notes. I've put Typhon want to make a deal, drop everything, and they won't charge for stealing the USB stick. Typhon has been spying on Ryan and Stephanie and Alex, tracking their Wi-Fi use and that. So even beyond the normal sort of spying, they were literally tapping into their Wi-Fi and seeing what they were Googling and stuff. Fuck them, I'm not backing down. Sign the affidavit, because you've been affidavit. How do you pronounce that? Why has that gone for affidavit?
It's just an affidavit.
Yeah.
It's with a T, but it's one of those words you genuinely only heard said by Americans.
Yeah,
affidavit.
That's true.
So.
Did they sign an affidavit?
Affidavit.
Or take Pike's fear? I don't know here. I mean, what's the point in signing this thing, really? What's the point in the whole game if I just sign this? I'm taking the fear. So, although all the stuff I said about taking anger was bad, here, I was just like, the alternative option is shit. Like, what's the point in everything that I'm doing if I'm just going to sign it and go, okay. Did anyone sign it?
No, of course not.
Fuck that.
Listen.
Good.
Look.
Uh-oh.
No.
Oh, no.
Not again,
it's
surely.
Sean, decision by Sean.
Did you sign both contracts? You signed...
What's your obsession with signing things, Sean?
I just love signing things. A big corporate
I'm a big
Pen
fan. I just can't
because of everything that had just happened at the festival and the liaison with Ryan, my logic was, I mean, again, so I was still anxious about
let them get away with murder.
Oh, hang on, just because you had a kiss, you're like, I'm floating on air, I'm going to sign anything I want, I'm glowing.
Nothing else matters now. No, so
like post-cortial, I don't know what's happening, I'm signing any old contract right now.
I was still anxious about the effects of taking someone's feelings off them, because it sort of broadly seemed that I'd made the right decision with Charlotte. So I was like, right, I feel like maybe I'm not supposed to do this then. And then, it was just, with everything that happened at the festival and after it, I was just like, do you know what? I can see Alex, thinking, well, what would Gabe want? Would he want me to just be able to get on with my life? Having now settled here and having established these relationships and it actually all working, would he want me to throw it all away in a vendetta?
I don't know, if it was me, I'd want justice. I'd want justice if it was me.
Yeah.
Would you want your only sister to ruin her life?
Yes.
Okay, right, well then we're different.
So, Sean, let's go back to my notes. I'll reread my notes here, and I want you to answer them, because there's a few questions.
Okay.
I mean, what's the point in signing this thing, really? What's the point in the whole game if I just sign this?
The point in the whole game is that Alex has actually found a life that she is happy with, despite everything that's happened. Typhon don't get brought to justice.
Detective work, all of the flirting to get the USB, all of that, completely meaningless.
No.
Because a corporation's got away with murder, basically.
Because
you want 50 quid.
That doesn't make it all meaningless. She still had those experiences are all still valid, and they're partly what brought her together with Steph and Ryan.
I got to give it to you, Sean. That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Of course, it wasn't easy. I wasn't just like, fuck it. It was hard, but it was.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
There's no money at this point, James. This is just
no money.
This is just not going to prison.
Not even for money.
I think
it was already
also
blown the 50 quid from the last one.
Wasn't it also implied that if you don't sign it, it's you are going straight to a cell, basically, which is not the case, is it?
It's not the case, no, because you take the fear away, and there is actually a pretty cool moment where you see Pike living without fear of Typhon.
Yeah.
There's a brief moment where he's just like, no, fuck this.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck this. And he sort of storms out the room, doesn't he? Tells you to go and storms out the room.
Okay.
And you just think, actually, that sort of made me feel okay about doing something that I thought was morally wrong. just a few moments ago.
And so what happens?
At this point, my notes were, I'm convinced that everyone is on the take in this town. Jed will probably be the Typhon ringleader.
There we go. Here we go.
To be fair, I never trusted that cop, and there's red flags from day one. So.
Jed was too nice, I think. I always had my suspicions about Jed, and this is where we're going. Because
he's paying me well above minimum wage for terrible bar service. I'm like, alarm bells.
And you already knew that Typhon bought him that bar, right? That was already revealed at one point.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, that Typhon bought him that bar. So my suspicions were quite high at this point. And my notes say Jed wants to chat. Jed knows that what they buried in the mountains. He's asking Alex to go there and show, so he could show her. Jed could have just told you what's down the mine rather than sending you down there. But
yeah, I thought that.
Then we
just
find out.
Now, mate. No, I've got to show you. No, just tell me now.
Yeah. Oh no, Jed has got a fucking gun. Holy shit, he shot her. That was unexpected.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
I thought it was great
so quickly.
But then I also just thought that her falling down that thing after being shot, I just thought there's no way she can survive this.
Because there's a whole bit of the game where I was just like, sorry, was Alex not shot?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she was fucking shot,
and she
landed down a fucking mine.
Long way, a long way down there,
on her back, through wood slats, and then also the gunshot and landing on her back. I'm like, well, she's definitely dead.
The bullet doesn't go into her, does it?
Dead.
It's shown that it just grazed her arm.
Oh, really?
The next thing, right?
Yeah, just a flesh wound.
She still fell
just a flesh wound.
What a shit shot!
Story of a house or whatever. It's mad.
I know, but she does look like pretty busted up when she returns to the meeting, but we'll get there. Look, we'll get there. Right, so then we're on to chapter 5, side B. Alex is back in a detention centre being interviewed. Oh, I think this is all in her head. And we're back in the mine shaft. So it does a few cuts, doesn't it, from the detention centre to the mine shaft back to the detention centre.
I was like, please tell me these first 4 episodes were not a fucking dream. Tell me that. I was like, oh no, my God, what are they going to do? But no, thankfully,
that's what I said. I said, it's difficult to believe what's real here.
Yeah.
Of which bit's real, whether her in the mine shaft is real or whether her.
I
did wonder that maybe this was all.
I thought it was pretty obvious. I thought that.
Really? Maybe I was just second guessing everything too much.
Yeah, I was concerned.
Because there was all
don't
weird
do this
shit
to us,
going on in the therapist's room, wasn't there? There was like stuff changing, and
it was very strange.
That's when it started to become a little bit more obvious, where she could see all the pictures around the room of her and all sorts of stuff, like little nods to her life. And now this is where the flashbacks start. And James, I know we're going to have that discussion. We'll get there. Let's go through the flashbacks before we talk about that. I think let's complete this part of the plot. And then we'll talk about our problems with it, because we've spoken about it privately, and I know we shouldn't have, but we've spoken about it privately, and I'm in complete agreement, really. We spoke about it privately,
we agreed that there'll be no discussion.
We're brilliant, mate. I'm going to be the best man at his
his messages tell me differently, David. So what are you saying to David James?
You snake! What did you say to David James?
What did you say
goalkeeper?
To David James? You were great in the 90s. Too much N64 though, cost you a Liverpool job.
Right. Okay. So and we're back at, now we're in hospital with Gabe. Time loop when visiting Alex's mum, getting her water. So this is Alex's mum's clearly dying. You're in the hospital, and you play out the scene, and then it time loops back, and you play it out again. And what this is demonstrating is, your memories of that time, you remember stuff, but you don't remember everything and how it played out. And it was kind of a neat way of doing it, where you would see what Alex remembered, and then what Gabe sort of fills in some of the gaps, even though he's dead. But obviously it's it's her mind working away and sort of filling in the gaps that she sort of blanked out. There's nothing too revealing here. It was sort of a bit of a proof of concept, if anything, that, hold on, everything you think may not have been how you thought it was, if you think deeply. And this was sort of explored in I'll tell you what I did last night. What was it called?
Tell me why.
Tell me what you did. Tell me why. Yeah, this was explored here. It doesn't go as deep as it did in that game, but the sort of the the basic premise was repeated here, and I thought it worked well. So, okay, it says, now in the family home, talking about Alex's mum with Gabe. When they argue, she puts on Dido. That's okay, because she does, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she puts on,
she does.
I wonder why. I thought it was a poor choice.
I was waiting for
honest.
M&M to come in, but wasn't that version.
It's rare that there's a poor choice in music in these games, and I thought that one was a little bit like, oh, come on. But okay. Could have probably chosen something more upbeat, Venga Bus or something.
That would have been good, yeah. That would have definitely suited the mood.
It could have just been the version that's just the intro for like an hour. You ever heard that?
And then I put, maybe that's what she'll play in this time loop. When she goes back, different song plays out. So then we learned that this was really tough. When the dad just walks out on him.
Yeah.
When he goes,
it was horrendous, that.
I can't do this, bye.
Yeah.
And it was like, fuck,
really upsetting.
man. They nailed that. How scary that must be for young adults to just think, no, you're in charge of everything now.
Yeah.
Like that. It was, not very nice.
But also, like, the sort of defeated desperation of the father as well, who just was
exactly.
Like it's reached the point where it's better if my kids are just taken into care. Like, like I can't even not to like suggest that the dad's okay, but like just thinking like
he's failing them.
Like he's failed, but just thinking how awful and how low he must feel to think that that's the best way out. It's just like, fuck, man.
Yeah, it's rough. Then we go to the orphanage. Wait, does their dad work for Typhon somehow? Right? Hey, I called that one.
Here we go. Yep.
Getting rejected by potential parents.
So I
get up and fight.
This bit, there was a detail here that resonated because, if you new to the podcast, I have ADHD, and I found out after diagnosis that, I'm not saying I even have this, it's just an element of it that can manifest, is a lot of people with ADHD also have emotional dysregulation, which, as the name suggests, means it's often difficult for them to control their emotions, and they tend to sort of absorb and mirror other people's feelings, right? It's a known thing. So Alex's power had already sort of resonated with me somewhat, and I remember thinking like, oh, if this was real life, they, like, at some point someone would have diagnosed her with ADHD. And on the door, in the dorm room, it shows her medication, and she was on the same medication that I am, methylphenidate hydrochloride. I was like, that's a good detail. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, that's great. I totally missed that. That's fascinating. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so then we go back to the mine shaft. There was an accident. Jeb was involved. Made a decision to keep digging. Then there was a leak. Right, so they were digging in the mine. There was some sort of gas leak. Jed decided to carry on with the dig, and as a result, the getting out of the mine shaft was a nightmare, and several people in his team died. And then I put, their dad was working there. Found the pendant.
Yeah, found the necklace.
So there was a pendant that he
it
had
was a weird sort of like
detail.
Yeah. Well, because it did make sense that Alex would be able to find it because of the emotional resonance with the item, but I was a bit like, oh, come on. Just be lying on top of the pile. Oh, you're there. Look, there it is.
I did think that was needed. There must be much better way to do it about that.
Take it away.
Go on.
What?
Take it away.
What
about your feelings towards this chapter?
You see, I really enjoyed all of this. I mean, enjoyed is not the right word really for what you're sort of going through and everything, but you know what I mean. I thought it was very good, but then it also made me feel, why couldn't we have had this through the whole game? Like, why couldn't they have like fed some of this in through the game, which would have given me a much stronger feeling about Alex as a character if I'd have known all of this like earlier on. If they'd have built some of this background up, and I feel that's what was missing from chapters 2, 3, and perhaps 4 as well. It's all left right to the end, and so you just don't get that sort of her as a fully rounded character. I didn't feel until that point.
Yeah, it's very like not much happens for ages, and then Jed's just shot you. Your dad was here as well. Jed killed your dad.
I think more importantly, it was their past.
Yes,
that I felt could have been spread out amongst the other chapters.
Yeah, you could have done those flashbacks
just piled in at the end.
Because
for sure, you didn't have to reveal the whole story.
Like her feelings and like the reasons and motivations for why she is feeling the way she is about things would have made a lot more sense. Like throughout the whole thing, if we'd have had a bit more context. Like just peppered through the whole thing.
Yeah, because there were so many, like I say, sort of these little sort of slice of life bits, moments of levity and stuff might actually have worked better if you were more aware throughout that it's like, well, look, this is what Alex has worked through to get here.
Yeah. And I think your point about their parents working for Typhon, I think that would have had a bigger impact had the backstory been built up throughout the game.
Yeah.
You would have, I think because it all happened so fast, it was like, and he also worked for Typhon.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you've injected a lot of this character into us over the past, hour and a half. And then that just felt like one step too much in such a short period.
I wonder if maybe they felt that, if they considered sort of peppering these flashbacks throughout, like they're so, because it's, it's like Alex is like talking to her brother in these flashbacks and he's sort of helping her reconstruct memories and stuff. In the context of her being, having just had a bash on the head after falling down a mine shaft, that sort of works. Whereas if it was peppered throughout, maybe people would be thinking like, well, is this part of a power? What is this? What's caused this?
Yeah, she's talking to a ghost.
Yeah. Like, what's happening?
But you can do flashbacks with it, and make it obvious that this is what these are. That these are like memory. I mean, even just cheesy stuff of like she looks at a picture. And then you sort of like get some sort of like background or context or whatever.
I mean, do you think they went, all right, okay, let's spread this throughout the other chapters? Well, this one's got an hour and a half worth of LARPing in. All right, well, we're not going to be able to fit in there. And this one's got a festival that seems to go on forever.
This one got to do as a weed.
See, and the thing is that you get, I mean, like all the text messages and stuff, like if you go on a phone, you get like a lot of background about her life through that, which is great. I enjoyed that. I thought that was, but I don't feel that that's an incredibly effective way of building the character in the same way that if they'd have just like had some flashbacks and stuff like that, I think that would have been.
I think like the text messages and stuff sort of fleshes out her experiences with like friends she's had in the past, but not necessarily the stuff with the family or anything like that.
I think you can't really leave it right to the end to find out why she feels the way she does about things.
Yeah, I totally agree because it made Alex seem like a vessel throughout a lot of it and not a fully formed character. And, that's okay to a point because revealing a story and someone's history over time is an effective tool. But back-ending all of that kind of just leaves you too long spending with a character doesn't feel fully developed up until the final moments. Because the story is great. Like, not great, obviously, but as you say, it's like hard to choose your words, but the story's compelling and it's interesting and it's got a lot to say. But I feel it's kind of lost, as you say, when it's all just compact into such a short space of time.
And also, I mean, as you said, I think connecting the father with the accident, I think I don't think that was necessary. Like for it to be, I think that was taking it a step too far. Like I don't think you had to make it that personal. It's like, it still
like
works.
what Jed did was shitty either way.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess it's maybe they felt it was necessary because, this is why Gabe ends up in Haven Springs, because he finds out that that's where his dad was. Like that was his last lead on his dad's location, and he was, he was trying to find him and forgive him. But it's, so I guess it's their explanation that's like, look, your dad didn't just fuck off again, he actually died here.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I also felt the same where I was a bit like, did you really need to bring him into it? It did seem a bit heavy-handed, but yeah.
Okay, right. So Alex escapes out of the mine. Diane's giving a speech at the Black Lantern about the future of Typhon and Haven Springs. Alex comes in. Everyone's shocked. She tells the truth. Jed and Diane are trying to say it's not true. So this is a big pivotal.
That was great. Her just walking in initially was like brilliant. Like cool. she's covered in all the stuff. She, all the shit from when she's down in the mine, and it's just like, I'm here, and I'm going to fuck every one of you up. I know the truth. I love that. You tried to kill me, you didn't. You didn't finish the job, and I'm here to kill you. I thought that was a brilliant scene.
So this is all basically the culmination of all your decisions, right? And then there's some further decisions to be made in a final conversation that kind of leads into the ending. But so this is how it went for me. Charlotte and Steph believe me. Ducky doesn't, because obviously I didn't have that moment where we were talking about Ducky's past that you guys were talking about later. Eleanor doesn't, which I was a bit frustrated about, because I'd done a lot with Eleanor and I thought that I was doing the right things, but obviously didn't do enough to convince her to believe me. Pike is backing me up, because obviously I stole away his fear, and Ryan doesn't believe me, which pissed me off, because it felt like, just because you didn't get a rose, don't believe
well, Dave,
Alex.
Got some news for you. Even if he does get a fucking rose, still believed his fucking
he
dad.
He still doesn't believe you.
Yeah,
how does that work?
Because for me, they all believe me. Like they all believe me, and he did, and Charlotte did, and Eleanor and Pike and Ducky, they all
Ducky as well. Fuck. So in mine, so I think that the traitors were Pike, Ducky, and Ryan. But yeah,
Pike because you didn't take the fear away.
Yeah, Ducky because I didn't really help him with any of his boring tasks.
Yeah, and Ducky I didn't help.
But I don't know what Ryan's fucking problem was.
How'd you get Eleanor? How'd you get Eleanor to believe you?
I don't know.
Because I felt I did everything along that quest line.
I have no idea.
It's weird.
That is odd, and especially because I definitely missed the conversation with Riley as well. Don't know.
Okay, Matt.
I know Ducky did, but I can't remember the others in all honesty. But I think ultimately more believe me than didn't believe me. There was definitely a couple definitely a couple that didn't. I assume it's I can't remember who.
No, it was 50-50 for me. Charlotte, Steph believed, Pike believed, Ducky, Eleanor and Ryan didn't. Yeah, it was 50-50 for me. But then that leads into the final confrontation with Jed, and the big decision is whether you forgive or condemn him, right?
I mean, that sort of tirade at Jed was absolutely phenomenal, I thought.
Yeah, it was really
fantastic.
good.
Yeah.
The acting was great. Yeah. Visually, it looked great.
Mm-hmm.
The whole tirade
voice acting
well written.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, really very good.
Mm-hmm. You can really
assume
feel
everyone
her
forgave
anger.
him.
I did not. I denounced him.
Whoa.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't feel that he... Okay, at this point, I didn't feel that he was sorry for anything that had really gone on, and I just thought, I've had enough of you. And so I just...
But isn't that the point of forgiveness?
Yeah, it is.
Like, the point is that you walk away and go... You're in such a poor shape that I actually feel
that was
some empathy.
That was where I was.
See, that's the thing. I didn't feel hardly any empathy for him, and I just thought, I that's it. I'm denouncing you for this, and so I did.
What happens when you denounce him?
He just kind of has. He just has a bit of a breakdown, and that's it. Really, it's
yeah. We had a breakdown for me, and I forgave him.
Same either way.
So, yeah, he says he breaks down in tears.
I mean, he writes in a letter.
And then I forgave him because my notes were here that forgiveness puts him on the road to recovery, and redemption. Condemning him doesn't make him see the truth, so I'll forgive him.
It's similar thing with me. It's like ultimately condemning him is not going to help.
It's not going to change anything.
Not going to change anything exactly. And again, I'd sort of dreamed this arc for Alex, where she was kind of not like taking shit off anyone, but ultimately, like, if she's going to allow herself to start thinking less of people because of the shit she reads in their minds, she's doomed forever. So, and if she can forgive Jed, then that's it. She's on her way to living with, this power that she has. Fucking Ryan, though, forgiving him wasn't so fucking easy. What a cunt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was furious. I mean, this whole bit, and I'm, very aware, I'm saying this as a straight white man, the world is full of women who've tried to call out men for shitty behaviour and not been believed. And I like, obviously this is a computer game, but when people were siding with Jed after you show up the way you do, the way Alex does, and you tell them everything, and then some people are just like, no, I think Jed's all right, and just that feeling of just like, how fucking dare you? Like after everything Alex has been through.
But but then Jed's been seen as a hero in that town for
exactly,
he's 20, 30 years. You're the new person, like now accusing the town hero of doing stuff. So I could see why, but I was so angry.
I'd like to know though, because I didn't have that problem because he sided with me. So I wonder what we did differently so that he did that, because that's odd.
Yeah, I mean I think if we move on, is that everything?
So I forgave him, and then he confessed. My notes were here that he confessed like a crying twat.
That's a real nice forgiveness there, Matt. That's good.
I forgave him for him, not for me. I can have my own feelings about him, but I'm trying to, set him on the road to redemption.
You forgave him for him. Okay.
Well, to set him on the path of to set him on the path of redemption and whatnot. But I still have my own issues with him, obviously. Yeah. But then, you're totally right, Sean. Like forgiving Ryan, I was absolutely livid at Ryan. And again, this is a person that I kissed. I gave him a rose. I thought actually, he's a sweet guy.
And
then I was like, you absolute motherfucker, you absolute fucker, you absolute twat. Yeah, so I did forgive him. I was so pissed off.
But it was
because, for the same reason. I was like, I'm just going to forgive him. He can live with what he's done.
Yeah,
I'm gonna rise above, forgive him, but we have absolutely no future whatsoever.
Oh, really? Okay, so I forgave him and sort of had theoretically spent my life with him.
No way. I forgive him, but no way. Like we can't go back to how it was.
That is valid.
Given that is fair. If he did that, then that is fair. Completely.
Yeah, no way. There's no way we can just forgive and forget. I mean, no, fuck no. I mean, I'll forgive him, but this is it. It's over.
Forgive him, but I won't forget. Prick.
Absolutely
not. Okay. So then we're treated to our endings. So let me run through my notes and then we'll go through your endings afterwards. I've got listening to the radio about Typhon being exposed. Steph is here and she wants that to be with Alex. She's given me the choice to either stay or leave. This was a really interesting one for me because, as I'd mentioned previously, there's nothing for me in Haven Springs. I was going. But my notes say, talking to Gabe in the garden, he's saying I should stay. This has kind of changed my gut reaction. Oh no, now Gabe has changed his mind, for fuck's sake. He's giving me a good account of why I should stay, projecting a life of normality. But how does this town continue without the Typhon money? Big decision, stay or go. I was sure I was going to go. But Gabe is right. Staying is the life that I was fighting for, and seeing Ethan reminded me that I'd be leaving him too. That doesn't seem like something Alex would want to do. Also, and I put Alex is staying, but also I didn't write this down, but a thought that I definitely had was Alex has been doing everything for everyone since she arrived in that town, and it felt like now was the right time for her to make a decision for her rather than Steph. So, although it's not explicitly laid out, it's presented as a nice thought of what the future would be like. Yeah. Obviously, we don't get to see the actual future. We're sort of left to think, that's probably how it went. That's how it ended for me, and I thought it was the perfect ending to the story arc. Mm-hmm. How Alex spent the whole time in the town trying to make people happy, and the last final decision was for herself to be happy and for what she wanted to do. And Steph was totally cool with that. So it was just sort of a perfect little ending for what I'd gone through with Alex.
Mm-hmm. So does Steph stay with you then if you choose to stay?
Steph stays. Well, it's implied that she tells you, look, this is what I want to do,
right?
But I want to be with you. So it's up to you.
Okay.
And, usually you'd think hey, well, I'm not going to stand in the way of your dreams. But at that point, I was thinking Alex would say, no, this is my dream now.
Yep.
And this is what I want.
Yeah. No,
and Steph, yeah. And it just felt great. It felt like a really nice ending to a really nice arc.
It's interesting because
I was happy for both of them at the end.
Because, so with Ryan, you also get the option to, either stay in Haven Springs or leave with him. But the percentages are completely different. So with Steph, 36% stay and then 35% leave Haven together.
Yeah.
But with Ryan, it's 21% stay and only 8% leave. Because Ryan's got no interest in leaving, has he? That's not...
Well, that's it.
He doesn't want to go.
So what they're doing, those players as a majority will go with what the other character wants and not necessarily think about what Alex wants.
Yeah.
So, as you say, if you're with Ryan and Ryan wants to stay, the majority of the players are staying.
Yeah.
If Alex is with Steph and because Steph wants to go, the majority of the players are going because of Steph.
Yeah.
Whereas I had an impulse to say, no, actually, Alex needs to make this decision for her.
Yeah.
And
I will
that's
say
why I sort of bucked the trend on
the
that.
idea that she was going to go and, become a musician and tour and do gigs and stuff. I obviously during the game, it was clear that she had an interest in music and could play the guitar and sing. But for some reason, it didn't really land with me that she had designs on being an actual musician.
This is where playing wavelengths would help.
Okay.
Because it's all... Yeah, I mean, this is the other problem I had with Steph with the game, because I don't feel that they really fleshed out her character enough in the game. There's more in...
But I don't think you spent enough time with her, because I think it totally does if you choose her as an option.
Did I say Steph? I meant Alex.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you said Steph.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, sorry. With Alex, it was like... this option to go touring, and I was a bit like, well, I've seen her play music. I didn't really know she wanted to, but then I suppose it's in her notebook and everything as well, right? Yeah. It's like it's all her, the notes she makes about people for every sort of bit of the story. She will write some lyrics and some chords and stuff to go with it, and so I guess I don't know. It just didn't.
So so come on. So did we all just stay?
Sounds I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Matt,
I was
did
the
you
same...
end up with Ryan in the end?
No, I told Ryan to go fuck himself because he's a massive twat and he just ruined everything. But no, basically, the chance. Obviously, the choices we all had was stay in Haven or seek adventure, and exact same as you, David. I thought I've been trying to help everyone, protect everyone for the whole game, and Gabe's words really resonated with me, and this was the first place that I felt myself, or felt a calling, or felt at home, and I felt that this is the right place for me right now. I didn't want to just be on the road again or seeking a new home or new family. I just wanted to have a place where I felt at home. So no, I stayed. I wasn't with Ryan. I wasn't with Steph. So no, I felt it was the right thing. But in terms of I'll talk about my journey in a minute in terms of my relationships, but I stayed.
Well, I think we kind of get it, right? You didn't know which way to go, and then I think that was a pretty cool direction to take all that stuff, to be honest, Matt.
Yeah, but I went on such a journey because, I thought, okay, the game's setting me up to go with Steph, and as you know, actually, I think Ryan is nice, and it felt like the direction that the game didn't expect or didn't want players to go. I don't know. I can't quite kind of articulate exactly what I feel at that point. But I just felt like, no, actually I'm gonna go with Ryan because he's sweet. And then, oh no, Steph's there, and there was flirting during the LARPing stage and whatnot. But then, that never truly happened. And then Ryan was a twat, and then I'm kind of left on my own, still kind of confused. I did feel confused. But I just felt like that was such an amazing arc or story, for Alex to go for. I thought is so well done. I truly felt kind of confused, and I was swayed one way then the other during the story, and I thought it was brilliant. I've never kind of emotionally connected with a character in Life is Strange in that way before, and I thought it was fantastically done. It wasn't okay. It wasn't that, okay, your character's gay, your character's straight, or this, that, and the other. Like, in the course of 4 or 5 episodes, I actually know, I think Alex is my partner. I think Ryan is, and I loved the fact that it could change, and I could change my feelings depending on the situation. It wasn't set in stone.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really well done.
And equally, I mean, for what, like, because it's interesting, because as far as I can tell from the results screen, so Steph always sticks by you in the vote, whereas Ryan's the only one who can go either way. And it's interesting because when he betrays you, part of you thinks like, "Oh, fucking hell, I should have pursued Steph instead." And it's like, no, that's not an adult way to think about relationships. It's not just like, oh, well, if not him, then you instead. It's like, no, I decided for whatever reason that Steph wasn't right. The fact that Ryan turned out to let me down as well. Like, I think, as you say, Matt, I think that makes your ending really valid, is that actually it's not just a case of, oh, well, shit, I'll go with Steph instead, or whatever. It's like,
I'm glad that's an option.
Yeah, like being...
Absolutely. I didn't feel like I'd lost because I ended up on my own.
Exactly, like being on your own is
I'd gone through some stuff, trying to find myself, and I'll take those kind of experiences forward for whoever I meet next. Yeah. I thought it was incredibly well done.
Probably Steph. Probably Steph.
I didn't have this. Ryan just made me feel safe, by the end. So it's good. But
then he didn't write it down in the vote, did it? I'd love to know. I'd love to know what the decider is there. Like, what did I not do?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I put at the end, because the game ends there, and I put that was decent, but I felt it lacked the bite of previous series, which was spoken about during this podcast. It's my least favourite of the mainline 3, but way better than Tell Me What Now. So I think
it was certainly better than that.
Yeah. I think that's where it sits with me. I did really enjoy the game. I think if my expectations were lower in terms of drama, then I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. Because I did think it made some important points, and I think it made them very well, and I enjoyed the voice acting, the writing, the relationships, the characters, the setting. But for me, off of the back of Series 2, which was pure tension and drama and, nail biting decision making, I felt this sort of didn't reach those heights. But then it never really felt like it was going for that either. So it's hard to criticise the game.
I feel like the impact to the story or the decisions you make kind of aped the feeling of the town you're in. It was kind of lackadaisical. It's kind of like
fake.
It's kind of fake, kind of softly. You're totally right. It didn't have like the big action-packed moments. It wasn't like huge decisions were being done on the fly. But again, that aspect of Series 2 aped the story. So I can see why this one, in a bit more of a sleepy town, and also the fact we got all 5 episodes at once. It felt like this game was definitely designed to basically play, or not through in one sitting, but play in 2 or 3 chunks. This game would never have worked as episodic.
Like no, I think
episodes you play every month or 2, because there wasn't. It felt like maybe actually in a way they weren't hamstrung by the need to create cliffhangers and big decisions to drive you forward to get you to buy or play the next one, because hey, it's all come out at once, and the whole story kind of, it was a much softer arc than the ones we had previously experienced, because they probably need some bite and some moments for you to really think, oh my god, I got to play the next one. This one felt much softer overall, less kind of huge decisions, which I do miss. I do miss those huge decisions we had in previous series. But like I said earlier, I think the decisions you made were kind of, they felt bigger they felt bigger because it is just you in the town. It felt like much more personal rather than, is that person going to live or die? It just felt, it felt great in that respect. And I will say, I haven't really said this so far, but I absolutely fell in love with Alex. I thought she was an amazing character. I thought she was absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely fell in love with her. I would love to see something else with her. I loved everything about her. I who knows if they'll do another one with her, but I thought she was absolutely fantastic, and my love for her kind of kept me playing, as well as seeing how her relationships would develop and how the story would go.
See, still in terms of protagonists, though, I felt that I had a better connection with the Diaz brothers and even Max.
Really?
Yeah.
If I'm honest,
I'd say with Max and Chloe, definitely. I felt more there.
Oh no, I'm on Team Matt. I thought Alex was fucking brilliant.
I know, but look at that team.
It's a great team.
Sure, you want to be?
I mean, like the Diaz brothers. That's when I kind of like the parental mode really kicked in, and we've been over that. I'll do anything to same with younger brother. So that was very different. And like Chloe and Max, it was. I felt like I was like watching like a teen kind of comedy thing. I wasn't really truly like emotionally connected with them.
Teen comedy thing.
It just felt like watching like a high school drama type thing. I never truly.
They're two different things.
I never.
A teen comedy thing is iCarly or what's the same?
I've never seen iCarly. What is that? Is that a?
This is the Nickelodeon show.
Whatever. I just felt like I was much more disconnected to that. I was just like, high school drama, whatever it is. And the Diaz brothers is more parental, and Alex was more just, in her shoes, and I thought it was fantastic.
That was Life is Strange True Colours.
Before we leave, does this make you worried or enthusiastic about what could come next? We've had 3 superpowers so far. We had changing time in the first one. We had kind of energy in the second one. What was that? Whatever that energy was. Yeah, and in this one it's empathy. Like it feels like the powers are kind of getting less impactful.
But that's not a bad thing.
I wonder what they're going to do for the next one. It kind of makes me more worried, actually. I mean, as much as I love this one,
I'm not worried at all.
Where are they going to go?
I'm not worried at all.
No, because I'll be there day one.
Yeah.
I'll be there day one. Nothing's going to change that.
About it, yeah.
I think this also kind of shows that you don't really need that as like it doesn't have to have like that hook of like the superpower or whatever to make it engaging. Like because
but it is a staple of the series.
It's a staple, yeah, that's true. But it's not. But it's still not. I don't think with this game, I didn't feel like everything completely hinged on that. No. To like make it sort of interesting, to engage with at all.
Yeah, like series 1 and 2 very much hinged upon the powers, didn't they? Like it was spoilers for Life is Strange 1 and 2, but it was it was Max's power that caused everything to nearly go to shit in the first game. In the second one, it was all about hiding. I've forgotten his name. Your little brother's power, and it was because it was the issues that caused and the fact that he was a child and couldn't always control it, and the situations that would get you into. Whereas actually this
Daniel, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Whereas with this one, although there were interesting moments with the powers, and I don't think it was. I'm not. I know Dave, you were saying it's a shit power. I don't agree. I think it's used interestingly enough, and I think it's shown how it both helps and hinders Alex.
Yeah, but come on.
But you could strip it out, and basically the story would still flow, right? It would still work. The relationships between most of the characters would still function the same way.
Yeah, for sure.
Like and that's not necessarily.
It creates some interesting set pieces and questions,
but ultimately,
other than that, it didn't really offer anything to the story.
Yeah. And the writing and the characters are strong enough to stand on their own without superpowers,
for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do a series with no superpower at all, because I think you're totally right.
It'd be interesting.
They could do it without. I don't think people will be like, well, this is not the same now. It's not a superpower.
Wasn't Before the Storm kind of like that? Because there wasn't in that, was it?
It was.
Oh, that's true.
There wasn't any powers in Before the Storm.
And that was excellent.
But then that would have been really weird.
Well, it was excellent up until the last episode.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Let's not talk about that.
Can we just briefly talk about the fact that so obviously, the weird series the weird course this series has taken, obviously Life is Strange 1 and 2 made by Don't Nod, and then Deck 9 did Before the Storm. And then now Deck 9 are doing Life is Strange, whereas Don't Nod did Tell Me Why. However, Tell Me Why and Life is Strange True Colours both start with a pair of twins who were separated, and one of them's in the care system and one of them wasn't. And then they reunite at the start of the game.
Wait, they're not twins? They're not twins, are
Gabe
they?
and Alex are not twins.
Oh, they're not twins? Okay.
think.
All right. Well, brother and
No.
sister.
Gabe's the older brother.
Siblings. It's still,
Yeah,
it's just,
siblings.
it's
If I
just
could
a
go
weird
back.
coincidence. I wonder if there was an initial pitch from from Don't Nod,
looking
that
over
then
each other's shoulders.
Yeah, copying each other's notes. No, like maybe, there'd been an initial pitch from Don't Nod to Square Enix, and Square Enix instead went with Deck 9 and just went, look, here's a very basic outline, go with it. And it's ended up as something completely different. I just thought it was strange that the beginnings are quite similar.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
But I mean,
I never tweaked
I
that.
see what
but
you're
I mean,
saying.
I prefer
Siblings in season 2 as well.
Yeah, I prefer this
Spooky.
to Tell Me Why by a lot. Which
Yes, same
feels like
here.
I'm turning my back on Don't Nod. I loved Life is Strange 1 and 2, but this absolutely surpasses Tell Me Why.
Yes.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
And that was our spoiler cast. Thank you so much for listening, and tell everyone you know that's into Life is Strange that this spoiler cast is out there if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe to this feed to listen to our regular video game show. Very different vibe, but whatever. We talk about most games, but again, thanks for giving us a listen. Should we say goodbye, everyone?
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bento.
You're off the show, Sean.
Thank you. It's for the best.
You monster. Yeah, you're off the show for sending that kid to the cave.
Yeah, definitely.
That decision was made at the start of the show.
Physically drunk. Do you want a lift? Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.